You ever notice how the loudest critics are the ones doing the least? The ones shouting from the sidelines while you're out there building, sweating, believing? This isn't a story about them, it's about you. About the ones who keep going when no one claps, who keep showing up when the world says stop. This is for the dreamers, the doers, the quiet fighters. Let them hate. We've got dreams to chase. Chapter 1. The Noise of Doubt. The moment you decide to chase something bigger than yourself, the world begins to whisper. It's almost like the universe tests your courage by sending voices your way, some soft, some sharp, all trying to pull you back to comfort. They'll say you're dreaming too big. They'll tell you it's not realistic, that it's too risky, that you don't have what it takes. But the truth is, their doubt has nothing to do with you. It's an echo of their own fear. When people see someone daring to chase something extraordinary, it reflects what they've buried inside themselves. Your courage becomes a mirror, and for many, that mirror is uncomfortable. They start to remember their own abandoned dreams, the goals they gave up on, the chances they never took. Instead of facing that pain, it's easier to project it onto you, to criticize, to doubt, to tell you to be practical. But here's the thing. Practicality never built empires, never wrote bestsellers, never changed the world. Every dream begins with a whisper of belief, and that belief will be tested. The noise of doubt isn't always from others. Sometimes it comes from inside you. It's that small, familiar voice that says, "What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if this isn't for me?" That voice will sound convincing because it uses your own thoughts. It knows your fears intimately. But that voice is not your truth. It's your comfort zone, begging you to stay where it's safe. Understand this. Doubt is natural. Everyone feels it. Even the most successful people once wondered if they were crazy to believe in something no one else could see. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't the absence of doubt. It's the decision to move forward anyway. The world will always be noisy. Everyone has an opinion, and most people's opinions are shaped by limitation, not by vision. If you listen too long to the wrong voices, you'll start to forget your own. You'll start editing your dream to make it smaller, safer, more acceptable. You'll start to shrink yourself so others won't feel uncomfortable around your ambition. But the more you shrink, the more your spirit suffocates. Silence is where dreams grow. Every great creation, every breakthrough, every bold move in history started in solitude. Think of the artist sketching in the dark, the writer scribbling through the night, the athlete training when no one's watching. They weren't driven by applause. They were guided by an inner voice that said, "Keep going. This matters." To chase your dream, you have to protect your peace. That means learning to filter the voices you allow into your life. Not everyone deserves access to your vision. Some people simply cannot see what you see, and that's okay. Don't waste energy trying to convince them. You were not given this dream to make others believe you were given it to bring it to life. When you start something new, it's easy to crave validation. You want people to understand, to support, to cheer. But most won't, at least not at first. Some won't get it until you've already made it, and some never will. Don't take their disbelief personally. Their silence or criticism is not your signal to quit. It's your invitation to focus. The noise of doubt is meant to distract you, to make you question the path you're walking. It's like static on a radio. It doesn't change the music, but it makes it harder to hear. Your job is to tune it out. How? By staying close to your purpose, by reminding yourself why you started, by feeding your mind with truth, not fear. When you feel the noise getting loud, return to your why. Ask yourself, why does this dream matter to me? What do I lose if I give up? Who do I become if I keep going? The answers will ground you. They'll remind you that your dream isn't just a fantasy, it's a mission. Every time someone says you can't, they're handing you a piece of motivation. Every time someone laughs, they're adding fuel to your fire. Every time you're doubted, you're being sharpened. The hate, the disbelief, the resistance, it's all a part of the process. You can't grow stronger without resistance. You can't build courage without fear. Remember this: belief is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. At first, it's shaky. You might not trust it fully. But with each step, with each act of courage, belief grows. One day, you'll look back and realize that the things that once terrified you now feel small. Don't rush the silence. Don't rush the solitude. That's where your voice gets clear. When you stop listening to the noise, you start hearing the call of your dream again, the one that first lit a fire in you, the one that made you imagine something better. That voice doesn't scream, it whispers. But its whisper is powerful enough to move mountains if you follow it. The truth is, not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Some people will doubt until they see results. Some will stay silent until your success makes noise for them. That's fine. Let them. You're not chasing validation, you're chasing purpose. When the noise of doubt surrounds you, remember this: it's not proof that you're wrong. It's proof that you're doing something bold enough to be noticed. Ordinary people don't face extraordinary doubt. The louder the noise, the closer you are to something meaningful. Keep walking, keep building, keep believing. You don't need permission to dream. You don't need approval to start. The only thing you need is faith in your own path. Because when the world goes quiet and the crowd disappears, all that's left is you and the dream that refuses to die. So when the whispers come, when the laughter stings, when the noise tries to drown out your vision, smile. Because you already know something they don't. Their doubt doesn't define your destiny. It only proves you have one. Let them doubt. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Because while they're busy making noise, you're busy making progress. And one day, when your dream becomes your reality, the same voices that once whispered doubt will fall silent. They'll say you were lucky, or that they always believed, but you'll know the truth. You didn't need their belief, you had your own. Every great dream begins with silence, your silence. The kind where you stop listening to them and start listening to yourself. Chapter 2: The Weight of Loneliness. When you decide to chase your dreams, something unexpected happens. You start to lose people. Not because they're bad or because you've done something wrong, but because growth creates distance. The path of purpose narrows as you move forward. Fewer people will understand your priorities, your mindset, your sacrifices. You'll miss birthdays, late-night hangouts, the easy laughter that comes from belonging to a crowd. And suddenly, you'll realize that the journey toward your dream is not crowded at all. It's quiet, it's heavy, and often, it's lonely. Loneliness isn't always about being alone. Sometimes, it's standing in a room full of people and realizing none of them see what you see. It's when your friends are content with good enough, but your soul aches for something greater. It's when the people you love can't quite grasp why you're working late, why you've stopped going out, or why your goals have become your obsession. You'll try to explain it, but how can you describe a vision that only you were given? How can you make others feel the fire that burns in your chest when it was never meant for them? That's the weight of loneliness. It's not punishment, it's preparation. It's life's way of asking, how badly do you really want this? Because chasing a dream requires a different kind of strength. The strength to keep going without applause, without recognition, without the warmth of constant support. There will be days when the silence feels unbearable. You'll question if it's worth it. You'll wonder if maybe they were right, maybe you are chasing something impossible. But that's when you have to remember. Every person who's ever done something extraordinary walked through this same emptiness. The loneliness of the climb is the price you pay for seeing the view from the top. Think about it. No one can walk your path for you. People can cheer from afar, they can inspire you, they can even guide you, but no one can carry your vision. It was planted in you for a reason. And like a seed, it needs time underground before it blooms. The darkness you feel, the isolation you face, that's the soil. It's where your roots grow deep enough to hold you when the storms come later. The hardest part about loneliness isn't being alone. It's learning to be comfortable with it. It's realizing that your own company isn't empty, it's sacred. When you stop fearing solitude, you start to understand its power. You begin to listen to your thoughts, to your heart, to the quiet voice of purpose that gets drowned out when you're surrounded by noise. In that quiet, you start to see clearly. You realize who's really for you and who was just around for convenience. You learn that support doesn't always look like constant presence. Sometimes, it's the friend who checks in after weeks of silence, not to question your distance, but to remind you they believe in you. And sometimes, it's no one at all, just you, your work, and your dream. That's when you find out what you're truly made of. Loneliness becomes less of an enemy and more of a mentor. It teaches patience, it teaches resilience. It teaches you that if you can survive the nights when no one's watching, you can handle the spotlight when it comes. Because the truth is, success isn't built in public. It's built in the moments when you're alone, doubting yourself, and still choosing to keep going. There's a certain beauty in walking alone. It strips away your need for validation. It sharpens your focus. When no one's clapping for you, every step forward is for you. Not for approval, not for praise, but for purpose. That's where authenticity is born. But don't mistake solitude for isolation. You're not meant to cut off the world. You're meant to rise above its noise. Spend time with those who uplift you, but don't depend on them to carry your dream. Protect your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your spirit, especially when it's fragile and growing. There will be moments when loneliness will tempt you to give up, to trade your calling for comfort. You'll see others living easy, laughing, enjoying what seems like peace, and you'll wonder if your sacrifice is worth it. But understand this: comfort is temporary, purpose is eternal. The peace they have now is borrowed. The fulfillment you're building will last a lifetime. Every long night, every quiet morning, every moment when you feel unseen, those are the moments that shape you. They harden your spirit without making you cold. They teach you to move without needing permission, to create without needing validation, to believe without needing proof. The greatest irony is that the loneliness you feel now will one day become your strength. When you finally reach your dream, people will see your success but never understand the silence that built it. They'll see the mountaintop, but not the years you spent climbing in the dark. They'll call it talent, luck, or timing. You'll know it was none of that. It was persistence in the face of emptiness. It was choosing purpose over comfort. It was learning to walk alone with faith that someday it would all make sense. So, don't fear the loneliness. Welcome it. Sit with it. Learn from it. Because in the quiet spaces where no one's watching, something powerful happens. You transform. You stop being someone who dreams and start becoming someone who builds. And when the noise returns, when the world starts to notice, when people begin to ask how you did it, you'll smile, because you'll remember the nights when no one cared, and you kept going anyway. You'll remember the times when it was just you, your vision, and silence. And you'll realize that the loneliness was never a burden. It was your training ground. The path to your dream will test you with isolation, but it's never meant to break you. It's meant to shape you into the kind of person who can handle the weight of success. Because if you can thrive alone in the dark, nothing can stop you in the light. So, when the nights get long and the silence feels heavy, remind yourself, this is not the end. This is where strength is born. The world may not see your work yet, but that's okay. It will. And when it does, you'll be grateful for every lonely moment that built the foundation of who you've become. Because chasing dreams isn't just about what you achieve, it's about who you become in the process. And the person you're becoming right now, in the quiet and the struggle, is someone unstoppable. Chapter 3. The Mirror of Pain. Pain is an unavoidable part of the journey. It's not the kind of pain that comes from physical struggle alone, but the deep ache that settles in your spirit when life pushes you to your limits. When doors close that you were sure would open, when people you trusted walk away, when your hard work seems invisible, pain becomes your shadow. It follows you quietly, testing your strength, your faith, and your purpose. Most people run from pain. They fear it, numb it, or pretend it doesn't exist. But those who chase dreams learn something powerful. Pain isn't the enemy. It's the teacher. It's the mirror that shows you who you really are. When life strips away comfort, it reveals what's left underneath the raw, unfiltered version of you that can't hide behind excuses. In the early stages of chasing a dream, you think passion will be enough. You think excitement will carry you through. But passion fades when the results don't come quickly. Excitement disappears when rejection shows up. That's when pain steps in. It tests your heart, your patience, your belief. It asks, how much do you really want this? You'll face days when everything you built feels like it's falling apart. You'll question why things aren't working, why people don't see your vision, why it feels like you're walking uphill while everyone else is coasting downhill. You'll feel frustration clawing at you, whispering that maybe it's time to quit. But those are the days when growth begins. Pain is the sign that you're stretching beyond your old limits. Every rejection, every setback, every heartbreak, it's refining you. Think of gold. Before it shines, it has to face fire. The flames don't destroy it, they purify it. The same is true for you. The moments that burn the most are the ones that shape you the deepest. They carve strength into your soul and teach you lessons that comfort never could. Pain teaches humility. It reminds you that progress isn't always loud or visible. It's quiet, slow, and often invisible to others. But every time you keep going when you want to give up, you build something unbreakable inside you. That's what resilience really is, the ability to rise when it hurts to stand. Pain also teaches gratitude. It makes you appreciate the small wins, the kind words, the moments of peace. When you've been through darkness, even a flicker of light feels like a sunrise. You begin to understand that the purpose of pain isn't to destroy you, it's to prepare you. It's teaching you how to handle the blessings that are coming. Because success without struggle creates arrogance, but success after pain creates wisdom. There's another truth about pain that's hard to accept. It's often disguised as redirection. Sometimes, what feels like loss is really protection. You might not get the job, the opportunity, or the person you thought you needed, and it feels like everything's collapsing. But one day, you'll look back and realize that what you wanted would have kept you small. That closed door forced you to grow in a way you never would have otherwise. When you're in the middle of pain, it's hard to see the purpose. It feels unfair, heavy, endless. You wonder why it has to be this hard. But pain is patient. It stays until it teaches you what you need to learn. You can't rush through it, but you can grow through it. And once it's done its work, you won't be the same person who walked into it. You'll be stronger, clearer, wiser. Don't run from pain. Sit with it, listen to it, ask it what it's trying to teach you. It might tell you that you've been holding on to something that no longer serves you. It might show you that your definition of success needs to change. It might push you to rebuild from a place of truth rather than ego. There's beauty in the breaking, because when everything falls apart, you get to decide what stays. You get to rebuild intentionally. You get to choose who you are without the expectations of others. That's the gift hidden inside every painful experience: clarity. You'll also learn that pain connects people. The most inspiring voices in the world didn't come from those who never struggled. They came from those who turned their pain into purpose. They took what broke them and used it to build something that helps others heal. That's the ultimate transformation, to turn your suffering into strength, your wounds into wisdom. At some point, you'll realize that pain is a compass. It points you toward what matters. You don't feel pain over things that don't mean anything to you. You only hurt deeply where you care deeply. That means the very thing that's breaking your heart is tied to what you're meant to do. If something hurts you that much, it's connected to your calling. So, instead of asking, "Why me?" start asking, "What is this trying to show me?" Every painful moment carries a message. Maybe it's teaching you to let go, to stand up for yourself, to trust your instincts, or to stop relying on others for your happiness. Whatever it is, don't waste the lesson. Pain won't last forever, but the strength it gives you will. One day, you'll tell the story of your struggles, and people will admire your courage. They'll see your achievements but never understand the nights you cried, the times you doubted, or the battles you fought in silence. But you'll know that every tear, every heartbreak, every loss had a purpose to make you unshakable. And when that day comes, when success feels real and peace replaces pain, you'll be grateful you didn't give up. Because pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. What hurts now is building the foundation for everything you're meant to be. So, the next time pain visits, don't ask it to leave. Welcome it like an old teacher who always tells the truth. Let it teach you, mold you, and refine you. Let it break you open so you can rebuild with purpose. Because one day, you'll look in the mirror and realize that the very pain that once felt unbearable has become the reason you're unstoppable. The mirror of pain doesn't lie, it reflects your transformation. It shows you not who you were, but who you're becoming. And when you finally see that reflection, you'll understand that pain wasn't your punishment. It was your preparation. Chapter 4. The Power of Discipline. Dreams begin with emotion, with excitement, with vision, with hope. But they only survive through discipline. Passion will light the fire, but discipline keeps it burning when the flame starts to fade. When motivation disappears, when the journey feels endless, when you're tired, bored, or uninspired, it's discipline that keeps you moving forward. It's not glamorous, and it's rarely celebrated, but it's the most powerful force behind every success story. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's showing up on the days when your energy is gone, when your friends are resting, when no one's watching. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. The small daily actions that don't seem like much at the moment are the bricks that build your future. Most people wait for motivation before they act. They want to feel ready. But the truth is, if you wait to feel ready, you'll wait forever. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks, what needs to be done? It's the quiet voice that says, get up anyway, do it anyway, try again anyway. It doesn't shout. It doesn't inspire with fireworks. It simply demands consistency. You see, motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. It's there after you watch an inspiring video or read a powerful quote, but it fades when life gets tough. Discipline, on the other hand, is loyal. It doesn't care about excitement. It cares about commitment. It's what turns dreams into habits and habits into achievements. Think about any master of their craft, the athlete, the artist, the entrepreneur. They didn't get there because they were motivated every day. They got there because they were disciplined every day. They trained when it was raining. They practiced when it was lonely. They worked when the world was sleeping. That's the difference between wishing and winning. Discipline doesn't come naturally. It's built, and it's built through repetition. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your confidence. Every time you push through resistance, you train your mind to obey your goals, not your moods. You become reliable to yourself, and that's the highest form of self-respect. In the beginning, discipline feels uncomfortable. It feels like sacrifice. You'll have to say no to distractions, no to comfort, no to the easy way out. But with time, you'll realize that discipline isn't a restriction, it's freedom. Because when you're disciplined, you're in control. You decide where your time goes, where your energy flows, and what kind of person you become. Discipline also protects you from regret. When you're disciplined, you don't wake up wondering what if. You don't waste time on guilt or excuses. You might still fail, but you'll fail forward with purpose, with growth, with pride. The undisciplined spend their lives wishing. The disciplined spend their lives building. But discipline isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about being honest with yourself. It's not about working until you break. It's about committing until you grow. There's a balance, a rhythm between rest and work, between patience and pressure. Discipline isn't punishment, it's structure. It's what helps you turn chaos into clarity. The truth is, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. If your daily actions don't align with your dreams, you'll stay stuck in potential forever. Potential means nothing without discipline. The difference between someday and today is whether you act or wait. You'll face resistance. Your mind will fight back. It will tell you to skip the workout, to sleep in, to start tomorrow. It will whisper, "You deserve a break." And sometimes you do, but not every time your emotions say so. That's the trap. Discipline is about choosing progress over comfort. Not all the time, but most of the time. Because greatness doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency. There will be moments when your efforts feel invisible. You'll put in the work and see no results. That's where most people quit. But discipline teaches patience. It reminds you that growth is happening, even when you can't see it. The seeds you plant today won't sprout overnight, but one day they will. And when they do, the world will call it sudden success. You'll know it was years of discipline disguised as silence. To be disciplined is to live intentionally. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your life. You don't drift, you direct. You don't hope, you build. You take control of your habits, and your habits take control of your destiny. Discipline is also about identity. Every time you act with discipline, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. If you write today, you're a writer. If you train today, you're an athlete. If you create today, you're a creator. It's not about what you plan to do, it's about what you do repeatedly. There will be temptations along the way, distractions that promise quick satisfaction, moments when giving up seems easier. But when you have discipline, you remember the bigger picture. You remember that temporary pleasure can't compete with long-term peace. You remember that comfort never created greatness. And here's something most people never understand. Discipline creates confidence. Every time you keep going when you could have stopped, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. That's power. Real confidence isn't loud or boastful. It's quiet assurance, built from countless small victories. So, how do you build discipline? Start small. Keep promises to yourself. Don't aim for perfect days. Aim for consistent ones. Replace "I'll try" with "I will." When you stumble, don't quit. Reset and continue. Every day you show up, you're building momentum, and momentum is unstoppable once it starts rolling. Discipline is what separates dreamers from doers. Dreamers talk, doers act. Dreamers wish, doers plan. Dreamers wait, doers work. And the truth is, the world rewards doers not because they're better, but because they stayed when others walked away. One day, when your dream becomes your reality, people will ask how you did it. They'll expect a secret, a strategy, a shortcut, but you'll know the truth. The secret was never magic. It was discipline. It was waking up every day and choosing your purpose over your excuses. Because in the end, discipline is freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from fear, freedom from mediocrity. It's the foundation of every great life ever lived. Motivation may start the journey, but discipline finishes it. So keep showing up, keep building, keep doing the work, even when no one sees. Because that's where success is born, not in the moments of applause, but in the quiet hours when discipline becomes your way of life. And when you look back one day, you'll realize something powerful. Every step, every habit, every disciplined choice was a vote for your future. You didn't just chase your dreams, you earned them, one act of discipline at a time. Chapter 5: The Fire of Belief. There will come a moment in your journey when everything around you seems to crumble. The plan won't go the way you expected. The people you trusted may leave. The results won't match the effort you've poured in. You'll feel exhausted, invisible, and lost. It's in that moment that belief stops being an idea and becomes a necessity. Because when everything else fails, when the applause fades, when motivation burns out, when support disappears, the only thing that can keep you moving forward is belief. Belief is the fire that burns in the darkness. It's the quiet certainty that whispers, "I will find a way." It's not loud. It doesn't need to convince anyone else. It's steady, unshakable, and deeply personal. You can't buy belief, and no one can give it to you. You build it through every battle, every setback, every time you fall and stand again. When you're chasing something extraordinary, the world will test your belief. It will ask if you really mean it. You'll face moments that look impossible, and it will feel like the universe is pushing back against you. But that resistance isn't meant to stop you. It's meant to strengthen you. Every obstacle is a question, asking, "How bad do you want this?" The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they stop believing. They lose faith the moment the path gets difficult. They see one setback and decide it's a sign to quit. But belief isn't about ignoring reality. It's about trusting that your reality can change. It's about seeing beyond what's in front of you and focusing on what's possible. You have to understand that belief isn't fragile, it's forged. It's built in silence, in the nights when you question everything and still decide to show up. It's built when no one notices your effort, when no one claps, when no one believes in you, and you keep believing anyway. Belief is a choice. Every single day, you have to choose it again and again. You have to choose it when you're tired, when you're scared, when you're full of doubt. You have to choose it when you have nothing left but a tiny spark of hope, and guard that spark with everything you've got. Because that little spark, if protected, can light your whole world again. There will be times when you feel like you're walking blind, when the next step isn't clear. That's when belief becomes your vision. It guides you when sight fails. It gives you courage when logic says turn back. It gives you strength when reason says it's over. The dreamers who succeed aren't always the smartest or the most talented. They're simply the ones who refuse to stop believing. But here's the thing about belief. It's not just thinking you can do it. It's knowing you will, even if you don't know how yet. It's that deep certainty that no matter how many times you fall, you'll rise again. It's faith in your ability to adapt, to learn, to grow, to endure. True belief doesn't depend on evidence, it creates evidence. Look at every person who's ever achieved greatness. They were called crazy before they were called geniuses. They were doubted before they were respected. No one believed in them until they made it impossible not to. The difference between them and everyone else wasn't luck, it was belief. When the world said no, they said, "Watch me." Belief isn't loud or flashy. It's not about shouting your goals from the rooftops or posting daily affirmations. It's quiet, disciplined, and unwavering. It's in the way you wake up early when no one tells you to. It's in the way you keep practicing your craft when no one's watching. It's in the way you carry yourself when you've got nothing to show for your effort yet. The world doesn't always reward belief immediately. Sometimes it tests it for years. But belief that survives time becomes unstoppable. Once you've seen yourself endure, survive, and grow through pain, there's nothing that can convince you that you're not capable. Here's the secret most people never learn. Belief attracts opportunity. When you truly believe in yourself, it changes how you move, how you speak, how you think. People can feel it. Life can feel it. Doors start to open, not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because your confidence changes how you see the world. You stop waiting for permission and start taking ownership. You stop seeking approval and start creating impact. But belief doesn't mean arrogance. It's not pretending you have all the answers. It's having faith that you'll find them. It's knowing that failure isn't final. It's feedback. It's understanding that doubt doesn't mean defeat. It just means you're growing. Sometimes belief will feel heavy. You'll carry it through heartbreak, through exhaustion, through fear. There will be days when it feels like you're lying to yourself, when your mind whispers, "This isn't working." That's when belief becomes a battle. You'll have to fight your own thoughts. You'll have to silence the voice that says you can't and replace it with, "I will." Belief doesn't promise comfort, it promises purpose. It doesn't make the road easier, it makes it worth it. Because every step taken in faith, even a small one, brings you closer to your dream. Even when progress is invisible, belief is what keeps you building. Think about the moments in your life when you overcame something you thought you couldn't. At some point, you decided to believe in yourself, even when it didn't make sense. That same power is still inside you. You don't lose belief, you forget it. You let fear drown it out. But belief is always waiting for you to return to it. To believe is to take ownership of your destiny. It's saying, no matter what happens, I will keep moving. It's knowing that you were built for the climb, that your story isn't over, that you were meant to rise again. And when you hold on to belief long enough, something incredible happens. The world starts to bend in your favor. Opportunities align, people appear, doors open. Not because life suddenly got easy, but because your energy changed. One day, when you've made it, when you're living the dream that once felt impossible, people will ask how you did it. They'll expect a secret, a formula, a lucky break. But you'll smile because you'll know the truth. The secret wasn't luck. It wasn't connections. It wasn't even talent. It was belief. The kind that doesn't waver when everything falls apart. The kind that burns quietly, fiercely, endlessly. So keep believing when it makes no sense. Keep believing when no one else does. Keep believing when you're tired and scared and unsure. Because belief is the fire that turns your dream from a distant vision into a living reality. Let others doubt you, question you, even laugh at you. Let them. Because while they doubt, you'll be building. While they watch, you'll be working. And one day, they'll call it destiny. You'll know it was belief. Belief is your greatest weapon, your strongest ally, your eternal flame. Protect it, feed it, trust it. Because when everything else fades, belief remains. And belief true, unwavering belief, is the fire that will carry you through every storm until your dream becomes your truth. Chapter 6. The Lesson of Haters. Every dream worth chasing will attract resistance. Every vision that dares to rise above the average will draw eyes, some full of admiration, others full of envy. That's the balance of the world. For every person inspired by your growth, there will be another who feels threatened by it. You won't have to do anything wrong. Your progress alone will expose their stagnation. The truth is, hate doesn't come because you're doing something bad. It comes because you're doing something bold. In the beginning, it'll hurt. Words will sting, comments will echo. Silence from the people you expected support from will feel heavy. You'll start to wonder what you did to deserve it. You'll question whether you're too loud, too ambitious, too much. But the moment you shrink yourself to make others comfortable is the moment you betray your purpose. The hate isn't meant to stop you, it's meant to shape you. Haters are mirrors. They reflect the fears and insecurities of others, not the truth about you. When people see you doing something they wish they had the courage to do, they have two choices: be inspired or be bitter. The inspired will ask, "How can I grow too?" The bitter will say, "You think you're better than us. That's not your fault." That's their battle with themselves. The biggest mistake you can make is fighting back with the same energy. Don't argue, don't explain, don't try to make them understand. Their hate was never about misunderstanding, it was about discomfort. The more you elevate, the more your success highlights what others refuse to change. That's why they resist, that's why they mock, that's why they twist your wins into something negative. But remember, no one doing better than you has time to hate you. It's tempting to want to prove them wrong, to make every step about showing them what you can do. But that kind of validation is a trap, because if you live for their approval, you'll die from their disapproval. You can't build your dream on the fragile foundation of people's opinions. Let your results speak. Let your consistency silence them. Let your peace confuse them. Every hateful word, every doubt, every dismissive glance, it's fuel if you know how to use it. Instead of letting it drain you, let it drive you. Take their doubt and turn it into determination. Let every insult remind you why you started. The best revenge has never been words, it's success. Not the kind of success that screams back, but the kind that moves in silence and leaves them wondering how you did it. But here's the real lesson. Don't let hate harden you. It's easy to become cold, to stop trusting, to build walls. But hate doesn't deserve your heart. If you let bitterness grow inside you, you become what you despised. Stay kind, stay humble, stay focused. Your energy is too valuable to waste on proving anything to people who want to misunderstand you. Haters are part of the process. The more you grow, the more they'll appear. That's how you know you're moving in the right direction. If no one's criticizing you, it probably means you're not doing enough to stand out. Every great name, every innovator, every leader, every creator was once the target of ridicule. They were doubted, mocked, rejected, but they kept going until their work became undeniable. Think about it. They laughed at those who dreamed of flying, of exploring space, of connecting the world through invisible signals. They called them foolish. Now those same dreams define our reality. The haters fade. The dreamers remain. When people talk about you, let them. When they doubt you, let them. When they say you can't, smile, because that means you're attempting something that scares them. People only attack what they can't control, and you can't be controlled if you know who you are and where you're going. There's another kind of hater, the silent one. The one who claps for you in public, but competes with you in private. The one who watches every move you make, not to learn, but to compare. Don't waste energy trying to expose them. Time exposes everything. Just keep doing the work. Every step forward makes their envy heavier to carry. The lesson of haters isn't about ignoring them completely. It's about understanding what they represent. They are proof that you're visible, that your light is shining bright enough to be noticed. The only people who never face criticism are the ones who never do anything worth talking about. So, instead of asking, "Why do they hate me?" start asking, "Why does it bother me?" The answer often lies in your own expectations. You expected them to support you. You thought they'd cheer for you. But not everyone can celebrate you, especially if they haven't found their own peace. Don't take it personally. They can't see your vision because it wasn't given to them, it was given to you. Learn to walk through hate like it's wind, something that blows but can't stop you. The noise will come, but it only matters if you let it in. Keep your eyes on your purpose. Every second you spend responding to hate is a second stolen from your dream. Protect your focus like it's gold, because it is. Here's a truth that will set you free. Haters don't destroy you, they reveal you. They show you how much you've grown, how strong your mind has become, how far you've come from needing outside validation. They're a test of your emotional discipline. Can you stay calm when provoked? Can you stay kind when criticized? Can you stay focused when distracted? If you can, you've already won. As your journey continues, the hate won't disappear, it'll just change form. At first, they'll laugh, then they'll question, then they'll imitate, and finally, they'll congratulate you. That's the cycle. Don't rush it, just keep building. One day, you'll look back and realize how much energy you wasted worrying about who didn't believe in you. You'll see that none of it mattered. The opinions that once felt so heavy will be nothing more than background noise to the sound of your success. So, let them hate, let them talk, let them misunderstand. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your ambition. You don't need to prove your worth. You're not here to convince the world, you're here to change it. Focus on your dream. Build your vision. Work in silence. Let your progress make the noise, because when your time comes, and it will, the same mouths that doubted you will speak your name with respect. And when that moment arrives, don't return the hate. Smile, because you'll know something they never understood. Their doubt was never your downfall. It was your drive. Their words didn't break you. They built you. Their disbelief didn't block your path. It lit the fire that kept you walking. That's the lesson of haters. You don't defeat them by arguing or proving them wrong. You defeat them by succeeding anyway, by rising anyway, by shining anyway. So let them hate. You've got dreams to chase, and no amount of noise can silence someone who's already learned to move in purpose. Chapter 7. The Dreamer's Legacy. There will come a day when the noise stops. The critics who once mocked you will move on to someone else. The people who doubted you will fall silent, and in that quiet, something powerful will remain your legacy. Not the hate you endured, not the mistakes you made, but the impact of your persistence. Because a dreamer's legacy isn't built in moments of applause. It's built in the seasons of struggle, in the nights of silence, and in the mornings when you rise again despite it all. Legacy isn't about fame or recognition. It's not about your name being remembered. It's about your life being felt. It's about the energy you leave behind, the proof that you dared to live fully, to chase something that mattered, to create something that will outlast you. Every dream you chase, every risk you take, every battle you win in silence, it all becomes part of that story. But before you build a legacy, you must understand something important. A legacy is not a destination. It's a byproduct of how you live, how you love, how you persevere. It's the echo of your choices. The world doesn't remember you for what you intended to do. It remembers you for what you actually did, for what you gave, and for what you refused to give up on. The path to leaving a legacy starts with one decision: to live on purpose. Not to exist, not to survive, but to create something meaningful out of the days you've been given. It starts when you stop asking, "What will they think of me?" and start asking, "What will I leave behind when I'm gone?" Every person who has ever changed the world began as a dreamer, someone ordinary who decided to believe in something extraordinary. They weren't born different. They became different because they refused to settle. They refused to let fear, failure, or criticism stop them. They turned their dream into a mission, and that mission became their legacy. You might think your dream is small, that it doesn't matter, that the world doesn't need what you have to offer, but you're wrong. The ripple effect of one courageous life can change countless others. One act of bravery can inspire generations. One story of perseverance can heal a heart that was about to give up. Your dream doesn't have to be loud to matter. It just has to be real. But building a legacy is not easy. It demands patience, sacrifice, and faith. You'll give more than you get for a long time. You'll work harder than anyone sees. You'll face failure again and again. And every time, you'll have to choose to rise. Because legacies aren't written in victories, they're written in resilience. They're written in your ability to keep believing when no one else does. There will be moments when you'll want to quit, when it feels like everything you've done is meaningless. But that's because legacy work doesn't reveal its reward immediately. Seeds don't show growth the moment they're planted. They need time, care, and faith in unseen roots. You're building something deeper than success. You're building something that will breathe long after you're gone. Your legacy begins the moment you decide to lead with integrity, when you choose kindness over ego, when you help someone else rise instead of competing for attention, when you refuse to compromise your values for convenience, when you choose to create instead of destroy. Every small, quiet act of character adds a brick to the structure of your legacy. The truth is, legacy isn't about perfection, it's about progression. People won't remember every word you said or every mistake you made. They'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember your courage when life got hard. They'll remember your energy, your light, your unwavering belief in something greater than yourself. That's what lasts. Look at the greats, not just the famous ones, but the silent builders, the mentors, the parents, the teachers, the creators who changed lives in ways history books may never record. They didn't need applause to validate them. They knew that true impact doesn't need to be seen by millions. It only needs to reach one person deeply, and that one person can carry your legacy forward. There's a point in every dreamer's journey when you stop chasing success and start building significance. You realize that money fades, trophies gather dust, and fame is fleeting. But impact, real impact, is eternal. The way you lift others, the example you set, the lessons you leave behind, that's what truly matters. And here's the beauty of it. Your legacy isn't only for others, it's for you. It's your proof that you lived fully, that you didn't waste your potential, that you fought for something that mattered. It's your way of saying to the world, I was here, and I made it count. But legacy isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in the everyday moments, the days you show up when no one's watching, the times you stay kind when life isn't, the times you choose forgiveness over anger. It's built in consistency, in character, in courage. As you chase your dream, remember that someone is always watching, not in judgment, but in hope. Someone younger, someone struggling, someone wondering if it's possible. You might be the proof they need. You might be the reason they keep going. Your story could be the light they find in their darkest moment. That's legacy. You won't always see the impact you make. Sometimes, your influence will unfold long after you're gone. Someone will read your words, remember your kindness, hear your story, and it will ignite something in them. That's the unseen magic of legacy. It lives in hearts, not headlines. And when your time comes to rest, you won't measure your life by the number of things you owned or the followers you gained. You'll measure it by the people you touched, the dreams you sparked, and the moments you stayed true when it would have been easier to give up. That's the measure of a dreamer's legacy. So don't chase the illusion of being remembered. Chase the reality of making a difference. Don't aim to be admired. Aim to be authentic. Don't just build a name, build meaning. Because one day, long after the noise fades, your legacy will stand quietly but firmly as proof that you lived a life of purpose. The hate won't matter. The doubt won't matter. The failures won't matter. What will matter is that you kept going. You kept believing, and you kept chasing. And in that final moment of reflection, when you look back at your life, you'll smile. You'll realize that every struggle, every lonely night, every sacrifice was worth it. Because you didn't just dream, you built. You didn't just exist, you inspired. You didn't just chase, you caught the impossible and turned it into truth. That's the dreamer's legacy. It's not about how the world remembers you. It's about how your courage changes it. So keep walking, keep working, keep believing. Because one day, the story of your persistence will become someone else's beginning. Let them hate, let them doubt, let them misunderstand. Because while they talk, you're building something eternal. You're building your legacy, and that will outlast them all. Chapter 8. The journey never ends. When you reach the milestones you once dreamed about, when you finally stand where you used to look up from, you'll realize something unexpected. The journey isn't over. It never really ends. The dream you've been chasing will evolve, and so will you. The moment you touch what once felt impossible, new visions begin to form. That's the nature of growth. The destination is never the end. It's the beginning of something even greater. You see, chasing dreams isn't about crossing a finish line. It's about becoming the kind of person who never stops growing, learning, and expanding. Each victory, each moment of success, each lesson learned, these are not conclusions, but invitations. Invitations to go deeper, to reach higher, to give more. When you've fought your battles, silenced the doubt, faced the pain, and proven to yourself that you can rise, something powerful shifts inside you. You stop chasing dreams just for yourself. You start chasing them for others. You start realizing that the purpose of your journey was never just your own success. It was to show others what's possible. At the beginning, your dream is about you, your goals, your survival, your validation. But as you grow, it becomes about impact, about using what you've learned to light the way for someone else. The fire that once burned to prove yourself transforms into a fire that wants to empower others. You begin to understand that your story, with all its highs and lows, can become someone else's survival guide. The journey never ends because growth doesn't stop at achievement. Every level of success brings new lessons, new challenges, and new responsibilities. You'll face different kinds of fear: the fear of losing what you've built, the fear of staying stagnant, the fear of being seen differently. But the same belief, discipline, and resilience that carried you this far will carry you further. You've already built the tools, you just need to trust them. The end of one dream often marks the birth of another. Maybe you dreamed of starting a business, and now that it's thriving, your heart starts whispering about giving back. Maybe you dreamed of creating art, and now you want to teach others how to create. Maybe you dreamed of freedom, and now you want to use that freedom to serve something larger than yourself. This is evolution. This is purpose growing in real time. But here's the truth most people miss: you never truly arrive. Even the most successful people you admire are still figuring things out. They're still searching, still learning, still failing sometimes. The difference is, they've made peace with the process. They've learned to love the climb as much as the summit. The journey never ends, because fulfillment doesn't live in outcomes. It lives in growth. It lives in waking up each day, knowing you're becoming more aligned with who you're meant to be. It lives in the continuous decision to keep going, even when the world says you've done enough. Because true dreamers never stop dreaming, they just evolve their dreams. At some point, you'll also realize that the greatest joy doesn't come from the trophies, the applause, or the recognition. It comes from the moments when you see your efforts ripple through someone else's life. It's the message from a stranger saying your story gave them hope. It's the student who says you inspired them to start. It's the quiet gratitude that comes from knowing your pain had a purpose. And when you look back, you'll understand that every season, the doubt, the loneliness, the pain, the discipline, the belief, and even the hate was preparing you for this. Every chapter you lived through wasn't separate. It was a thread in the same tapestry. The noise taught you focus. The loneliness taught you independence. The pain taught you resilience. The discipline taught you structure. The belief taught you faith. The hate taught you strength. The legacy taught you love. And now, this chapter, this never-ending journey, teaches you peace. Peace doesn't mean you stop chasing. It means you chase differently. You stop running from emptiness and start running toward expansion. You stop chasing for validation and start moving for purpose. You stop asking, "When will I get there?" and start saying, "I'm already on the path, and that's enough." There will still be challenges. New levels bring new struggles, but you'll handle them differently now. You won't panic when things go wrong. You'll breathe, adjust, and continue. Because you've been here before. You've fallen, rebuilt, and risen enough times to know that nothing can break you permanently. The dreamer who began this journey is not the same person standing here now. You've evolved from chasing to becoming, and that's the beauty of it. You've become the kind of person who doesn't need to be pushed. You're self-propelled. The dream is no longer something you're trying to catch. It's something you live every day. It's in your mindset, your habits, your relationships, your work, your presence. You are the dream now, the living proof that it's possible. The journey never ends because your purpose never stops unfolding. There's always a new horizon, a new lesson, a new way to grow. And maybe that's the real dream, not reaching perfection, but staying in pursuit. Because in pursuit, you stay alive, you stay hungry, you stay humble. So, when you feel like you've made it, don't stop. Celebrate, yes. Rest, yes. But never stop growing. Never stop dreaming. Because the world still needs what you haven't yet created, what you haven't yet said, what you haven't yet become. Your best chapter might still be unwritten. And one day, when you look back on the full story of your life, you'll see that the destination was never the point. It was always about who you became along the way, the fighter, the believer, the dreamer who refused to quit. You'll realize that success wasn't a single moment. It was the way you kept showing up, even when you didn't have to. That's the truth most people miss. Chasing dreams isn't about reaching the top. It's about becoming unstoppable in the climb. It's about waking up every day with a heart that refuses to settle, with a soul that still burns for something more. So, as you stand here now, wherever here is for you, remember, the story isn't over. The road continues, the dream expands, and every step you take from this moment on adds to your legacy. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them fade. You're still moving, you're still rising, you're still chasing. Because the dream never truly ends, it just keeps transforming with you. And that's the beauty of being a dreamer. You never run out of destinations because your purpose is eternal. The journey never ends. It only grows deeper, stronger, and more meaningful with every step. So keep walking, keep believing, keep chasing, because the world still needs your fire. Chapter 9: The Unbreakable Spirit. At the heart of every dreamer who refuses to quit lies something unshakable, an inner force that can't be bought, borrowed, or broken. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's spirit, that deep, burning energy that rises when everything else falls apart. The unbreakable spirit is what keeps you standing when the storm hits hardest. It's what whispers keep going when your mind screams give up. It's the invisible armor of every person who has ever turned pain into purpose, doubt into drive, and fear into fire. An unbreakable spirit isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. It's carved out of struggle, shaped by failure, and strengthened by persistence. You don't find it in comfort or ease. You find it in the nights you cry yourself to sleep, but wake up and try again. You find it in the moments when no one believes in you, but you still believe in yourself. You find it in the silence after disappointment, when you decide to rise instead of retreat. The world will test you over and over. It will strip away your illusions, your comfort, and sometimes even your confidence. You'll lose things you thought you couldn't live without. You'll watch dreams crumble, people change, doors close, and in those moments, you'll be faced with a choice: break or build. Most people break, but those who build, those who refuse to let the world define them, discover something extraordinary: the unbreakable spirit. This spirit isn't about pretending to be strong all the time. It's about being real enough to feel the pain, but wise enough not to live in it. It's about acknowledging fear, but refusing to let it lead. It's the quiet decision to stand up one more time than you fall. There's a moment in every dreamer's life where everything feels impossible. You've done the work, but nothing's changing. You've given your best, but the world hasn't noticed. That's when your spirit is tested most, because persistence without reward feels like punishment, but it's not. It's preparation. The universe is strengthening your endurance, teaching you to rely on your inner power instead of outside validation. You build an unbreakable spirit the same way you build muscle, by facing resistance. Every challenge you overcome adds to your strength. Every failure you survive adds to your wisdom. Every heartbreak you heal from adds to your resilience. Pain doesn't weaken you, it forges you. The only thing that truly breaks you is giving up on yourself. When life knocks you down, and it will, your spirit decides what happens next. Some stay down, replaying the pain until it defines them. Others rise slowly, bleeding but breathing, carrying scars that tell stories of survival. The unbreakable spirit isn't about never falling, it's about always rising. Because real strength isn't in how hard you can hit, it's in how many times you can rise after being hit. You'll meet people who misunderstand your resilience. They'll call it arrogance, stubbornness, or delusion. They won't understand how you keep standing after so many setbacks. That's okay, they're not supposed to. They haven't lived your battles. They haven't felt your fire. They haven't seen what you've seen in the dark. They don't know what it costs to keep believing. The unbreakable spirit lives in those who refuse to let circumstances dictate their destiny. It's in the athlete who trains again after injury, the artist who creates again after rejection, the entrepreneur who rebuilds after failure, the parent who keeps going after heartbreak, the student who studies harder after failing, the survivor who smiles again after pain. The unbreakable spirit is not loud. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a whisper. Sometimes it's a trembling breath saying, "I'll try again tomorrow." Sometimes it's just showing up. Because showing up is victory when quitting seems easier. As you build this spirit, you'll realize something profound. Life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. The same challenges that once broke you will one day barely shake you. What used to make you cry will start to make you wiser. The same rejection that used to feel like the end will one day feel like redirection. That's growth. That's spirit evolving. You'll also learn that peace isn't the absence of struggle. It's the presence of strength. It's not that the storm stops coming. It's that you stop being afraid of it. You know you've developed an unbreakable spirit when you no longer panic at the first sign of trouble. You breathe, adjust, and move forward. Because you've been here before, and you always rise. And there's another lesson. Your spirit grows not just from your victories, but from helping others through theirs. Once you've built strength, life will give you opportunities to share it. Someone out there will need your story, your example, your presence. You'll see yourself in their struggle, and you'll know exactly what to say, not because you read it in a book, but because you lived it. That's how your spirit multiplies. Strength shared is strength doubled. The unbreakable spirit is freedom. When you reach it, you no longer live for approval or fear of failure. You live with purpose. You don't chase things to fill the void. You move from fullness, from confidence that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. That's the quiet power of someone who's been through hell and came out glowing. They're not untouchable, they're unshakable. But here's the truth. Even the strongest spirits still have moments of doubt. Being unbreakable doesn't mean being invincible. It means being resilient. You'll still fall, still hurt, still cry, but you'll also know that none of it defines you. The storm can bend you, but it can't break you. Because deep inside, you've already made the choice. I will not give up. And that choice changes everything. Once you make it, life can test you, delay you, and challenge you, but it can never defeat you. Every setback becomes a setup. Every wound becomes wisdom. Every ending becomes evolution. One day, when you look back, you'll realize that the times you thought you were breaking were actually the moments you were being rebuilt. You weren't falling apart, you were shedding layers of weakness, fear, and doubt to uncover the core of who you really are. That's what the unbreakable spirit truly is. It's the real you. The version that existed before fear, before doubt, before the world tried to make you small. It's your raw essence, brave, determined, limitless. The dreamer who never stopped believing, even when the world said stop. So don't be afraid of breaking. Every crack lets the light in. Every fall teaches you how to rise higher. Every loss clears the path for something better. You are not fragile, you are forged. You are not failing, you are forming. Keep walking, keep fighting, keep believing, because the unbreakable spirit inside you isn't just meant to survive, it's meant to inspire. It's meant to show the world that no matter how hard life hits, you can always come back stronger. Let them doubt, let them talk, let them underestimate you, because the ones who underestimate you will one day call you unstoppable. The ones who tried to break you will one day wonder how you never shattered. And you'll know the answer. You'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was your spirit, your unbreakable, unshakable, unstoppable spirit, the one that carried you through every dark night and led you straight into the light. That's your power. That's your truth. That's who you are. Unbreakable. Chapter 10. The Arrival of Peace. After years of chasing, falling, rising, and believing, there comes a moment, a quiet, sacred moment, when everything inside you goes still. The noise fades, the pressure softens. The constant need to prove yourself begins to dissolve. You stop running, not because you're tired, but because you finally understand. You realize that peace was never waiting at the finish line. It was always waiting within you. This chapter isn't about triumph or celebration. It's about arrival, not at a destination, but at understanding. The arrival of peace isn't the absence of ambition or the death of your dreams. It's the moment when you no longer chase them out of fear. You chase them out of love, out of gratitude, out of a calm knowing that you're already enough, even while you're still becoming more. In the early stages of your journey, you run fast, you push hard, you fight everything, the doubt, the loneliness, the pain, the hate. Every day feels like a battle for your place in the world. You measure yourself by progress, by achievements, by validation. And for a while, that's necessary. It's how you build strength. It's how you find your rhythm. But eventually, you start to see the truth. Peace is not found in speed, but in surrender. Not in control, but in trust. Peace comes when you stop trying to control every outcome and start trusting your journey. It's when you realize that not everything you lost was meant to stay, and not everything that stayed was meant to last. It's when you stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Thank you." Every detour, every delay, every disappointment, it all shaped you. You see now that nothing was wasted. Every moment was part of your becoming. The arrival of peace doesn't mean you stop dreaming. It means you stop doubting. You stop doubting your worth, your timing, your path. You understand that what's meant for you won't miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. You learn to let go with grace instead of resentment. You start to see rejection as redirection, endings as openings, and obstacles as opportunities in disguise. Peace is quiet confidence. It's not shouting, "I'm strong." It's whispering, "I'm okay." It's not built on external success, but on internal alignment. It's the moment you realize that happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you allow. You stop running from yourself and start running toward yourself. When peace arrives, your energy changes. You no longer react to everything. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself or defend your choices. You begin to understand that not everyone needs to understand your path. You stop taking things personally because you know that everyone is fighting their own unseen battles. Judgment loses its power. Comparison fades. The need for validation disappears. You finally breathe. This peace doesn't come easily. It's earned. It's the reward for every tear, every failure, every lonely night you push through. It's the calm after a long internal war. And when it arrives, it doesn't announce itself. It simply settles in your spirit, like a sunrise after years of darkness. Peace teaches you that stillness isn't stagnation. Stillness is strength. It's the ability to stand firm while the world around you spins. It's choosing not to react to chaos, but to move with intention. It's knowing when to fight and when to flow. It's realizing that not everything requires your energy. Some things just require your silence. You begin to notice beauty in the simplest moments. A sunrise, a conversation, a breath of fresh air, a quiet morning where you have nothing to prove and everything to appreciate. Gratitude becomes your natural state. You stop looking at how far you have left to go and start honoring how far you've come. You stop seeing life as a race and start seeing it as a rhythm. Peace doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. When you're at peace, your decisions become clearer, your energy becomes stronger, and your presence becomes lighter. You don't chase opportunities, you attract them. You don't force connections, you nurture them. You don't seek control, you create harmony. There's a sacred kind of freedom that comes with peace. You no longer fear losing people or things because you know that anything that truly belongs to your soul can't be taken away. You stop living from scarcity and start living from abundance. You stop seeing life as something to conquer and start seeing it as something to experience. Peace also brings forgiveness not just for others, but for yourself. You forgive yourself for the mistakes you made when you didn't know better, for the chances you didn't take, for the people you trusted, for the dreams that didn't unfold the way you hoped. You stop punishing yourself for being human. You start loving yourself for surviving. And as you forgive, you heal. You stop carrying pain like a badge of honor. You realize that healing doesn't mean forgetting it means remembering without hurting. It means learning from the wound instead of living in it. It means walking forward with scars that shine instead of bleed. When you reach peace, you understand that success isn't measured in applause, numbers, or wealth. It's measured in freedom. The freedom to live as you are. The freedom to love deeply without fear. The freedom to rest without guilt. The freedom to dream without desperation. And then something beautiful happens. You start to inspire peace in others. Your calm becomes contagious. Your energy becomes medicine. You become the example of what it means to live fully, without fighting constantly. You teach through your presence, not your words. You lead through your energy, not your effort. There's a profound serenity that comes with knowing you no longer need to rush. You're not late, you're not behind, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Everything that didn't work out brought you here, and everything that's coming will meet you when you're ready. That's peace. The deep trust that life is unfolding exactly as it should. And in that stillness, you begin to see your dream in a new light. It's not a finish line anymore, it's a flow. You understand that the purpose of the dream was never just the achievement, it was the evolution. The person you became while chasing it, the lives you touched along the way, the lessons you learned through every storm that was the real reward. You started this journey to prove something. You end it knowing you have nothing to prove. You started chasing to escape something. You end it realizing you've already arrived. That's the full circle. That's the quiet victory that no one else can measure but you. So breathe, smile. You've earned this peace. You've walked through the fire and learned how to stand in the light without fear. You've learned that peace isn't a place you find, it's a state you choose. And you can choose it again, every day, no matter what the world brings. Let them talk, let them chase, let them doubt. You've already won the battle. They're still fighting the one within. Because peace isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of living it fully. It's the realization that you don't have to fight for your worth anymore. You simply have to be. And when you reach that point, when your heart is calm, your purpose is clear, and your spirit is free, you'll understand something powerful. You were never chasing peace. Peace was chasing you all along. You just had to stop running long enough to let it find you. Chapter 11. The Gift of Becoming. When you've walked through the storms, silenced the noise, carried the weight, endured the pain, and finally arrived at peace, something begins to shift deep within you. It's subtle at first, a quiet realization that everything you've gone through wasn't just about reaching a dream. It was about becoming someone new, someone truer, someone stronger, someone you were always meant to be. This is the final and most sacred stage of the dreamer's journey, the understanding that the dream itself was never the true destination. You were. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every victory, and every failure was a sculptor's tool, carving away who you weren't, revealing who you are. Becoming is not an event, it's an evolution. It's what happens when the fire of struggle burns away the layers of doubt, fear, and insecurity, leaving behind the pure essence of who you were destined to be. Becoming means you stop measuring your life by results and start measuring it by depth. You begin to see that every experience had purpose. The rejections that broke your heart didn't destroy you, they refined you. The losses that once made you question your worth were simply life's way of redirecting you toward what was real. The loneliness that once felt unbearable taught you how to stand alone and still feel whole. Everything had meaning. Nothing was wasted. You start to notice how differently you move through the world now. The things that used to shake you no longer have power over you. The opinions that once consumed your peace now barely touch your spirit. The fears that used to paralyze you have become familiar visitors. You acknowledge them, but you no longer obey them. You've become grounded in yourself, rooted in purpose, anchored in truth. Becoming is not glamorous. It's not loud or celebrated. It happens in silence, in the long seasons where no one sees your growth. It's the late nights you spent in reflection, the mornings you woke up determined to try again, the small decisions that aligned you with who you wanted to be. True transformation isn't about changing who you are. It's about remembering who you've always been beneath the weight of the world. You'll realize that the dream you once chased wasn't just about success. It was a call to discover your potential. The dream was the spark, but the journey was the awakening. You had to lose, fail, and struggle, not because life was cruel, but because it needed to stretch you into the person capable of holding the life you were asking for. Dreams are not given, they are earned through transformation. Becoming is learning to balance power with humility, ambition with gratitude, drive with stillness. It's knowing you can move mountains, but choosing to do so with grace. It's realizing that your strength isn't loud, it's quiet, consistent, and kind. You no longer need to shout your worth, your energy speaks for you. At this stage, you start to see others differently too. You stop judging, you stop competing, you stop comparing your journey to theirs. You understand that everyone's path unfolds in its own timing. You see that pain doesn't make you special, how you rise from it does. You start to move with compassion because you remember how it felt to struggle in silence. You start to lift others, not out of obligation, but because you know what it means to be lifted. Becoming teaches you patience. You no longer rush your growth or force your timeline. You trust the seasons of your life, the planting, the waiting, the blooming, and even the pruning. You understand that each phase has a purpose, and peace doesn't come from resisting the process, but from surrendering to it. You learn that the version of you who began this journey wouldn't have survived what you've now overcome. That's the beauty of becoming. Every chapter prepares you for the next. There will still be challenges, there will still be pain, but now, instead of asking, "Why me?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift turns suffering into wisdom. You realize that you no longer need to control everything. You simply need to respond with intention. Life stops feeling like something that's happening to you and starts feeling like something that's happening for you. And through that awareness, you find freedom, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstance. You find joy in simplicity, strength in stillness, purpose in presence. You stop searching for meaning because you've become it. You start to embody what you once admired. You start living from truth instead of chasing it. The gift of becoming is not that life gets easier, but that you get wiser. You stop fearing change because you've learned that change is how life keeps you alive. You stop dreading endings because you've seen how often they lead to beginnings. You stop seeking validation because you finally learned to validate yourself. When you reach this stage, gratitude becomes your foundation, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally see the perfection in everything. You start thanking life not only for the blessings, but for the lessons, for the heartbreaks that softened your heart, for the failures that built your faith, for the storms that revealed your strength. Becoming means you've made peace with your past, you're content in your present, and you trust your future. You understand that life doesn't owe you anything. It's been gifting you everything all along: experience, awareness, evolution. You stop needing to chase happiness because you are happiness in motion. You become the peace you once searched for, the strength you once prayed for, and the light you once followed. And here's the most powerful truth: you were never meant to find yourself. You were meant to create yourself. Every decision, every risk, every heartbreak, every dream was part of that creation. You are not a product of your circumstances. You are the artist of your existence. You decide what your story becomes. One day, when you pause to look back, you'll see it clearly. You'll remember the days you thought you couldn't go on, and you'll smile because you did. You'll remember the moments that broke you, and you'll thank them for rebuilding you. You'll see that the dream you were chasing was never separate from you. It was within you all along, waiting for you to grow into it. Becoming doesn't end, it continues. Every sunrise is another chance to expand, to evolve, to love deeper, to live truer. You'll never be done growing, and that's the beauty of it. There's no final version of you, just more truth, more awareness, more alignment. So, embrace who you are now and who you're still becoming. You've earned every scar, every lesson, every moment of light. You've proven that no amount of pain can kill the soul that refuses to stop growing. You've turned every "why me" into "thank you." You've become your own answer. Let the world keep spinning. Let others chase noise. You've found something deeper, the calm certainty that you are exactly where you're meant to be, becoming exactly who you're meant to become. That is the final gift of the dreamer's journey. Not fame, not fortune, not validation, but transformation. The realization that your life was never about chasing dreams. It was about becoming one. And now, as you stand at this chapter of becoming, you no longer ask, "What's next?" You simply whisper, "I'm ready." Because you know that wherever you go, whatever you face, whoever you grow into, you'll meet it not as who you were, but as who you've become. That's the gift. That's the reward. That's the legacy. Becoming the endless unfolding of your truest self. Chapter 12. The Eternal Flame. When the noise fades, when the world quiets, when the dust settles after years of chasing, climbing, and believing, there's something that remains, something ancient and steady, something that can never be taken from you. It's not fame, it's not wealth, it's not even success, it's your fire. The eternal flame that has guided you through every dark night, that kept you moving when everything told you to stop. It's the essence of who you are, the dreamer who refused to die inside. The eternal flame isn't the same as motivation or passion. Those things flicker. They rise and fall depending on your mood, your circumstances, your season. But this flame, this deep, unexplainable fire, it doesn't fade. It might dim for a while, buried under exhaustion or heartbreak, but it never goes out. It's what wakes you at 3 a.m. with an idea that won't let you sleep. It's what pushes you to take one more step when your legs shake. It's what whispers, "You're not done yet." You carried that flame through storms. You guarded it when no one else believed in it. You protected it from the winds of doubt, the rain of failure, the cold of loneliness. And now, after everything, you understand that this flame was never meant to burn out. It was meant to illuminate, not just your path, but the paths of others who are still wandering in the dark. The eternal flame is purpose. It's not a goal. It's not a destination. It's a calling, a quiet truth that lives in your spirit and outlasts every season of your life. Purpose doesn't retire. It doesn't end when you make it. It evolves. It grows with you. It burns differently at different times, sometimes as a raging fire of ambition, sometimes as a small, warm light of peace. But it's always there, guiding you home to yourself. At this stage of the journey, you realize that your purpose was never about the dream itself. It was about what the dream awakened within you. You didn't chase a goal just to achieve it. You chased it to discover yourself, to become the vessel through which that fire could shine. The dream wasn't your destination, it was your ignition. And now, with wisdom in your heart and stillness in your soul, you begin to understand your responsibility. The fire you've kept alive all these years isn't just for you anymore. It's for the world. It's for those who are still lost, who are still afraid to believe, who think their time has passed. You've been where they are. You've felt that doubt, that pain, that exhaustion. And because you've walked through it, you carry the ability to light the way for them. That's what the eternal flame does. It spreads without ever losing its glow. Your story, the struggles, the victories, the tears, the triumphs, it's not meant to end with you. It's meant to inspire, to remind others that no matter how dark it gets, light still exists inside them too. Maybe your words will ignite it. Maybe your actions will. Maybe simply the way you live quietly, authentically, with integrity, will become someone's reason to believe again. That's legacy on a spiritual level. Not what you leave behind in the world, but what you leave behind in hearts. The eternal flame also teaches you balance. You've learned to give, to push, to fight, but now, you also learn to rest. Fire without care burns out. You've learned to protect your energy, to keep your light alive without letting it consume you. You understand that even the strongest flame needs airspace to breathe, space to grow, space to renew. You no longer run on empty. You pour from fullness. You've also learned that your flame won't always look the same. Some seasons, it will burn bright, lighting up everything you touch. Other seasons, it will barely flicker, and you'll have to guard it fiercely. That's okay. The strength of your fire isn't in its size, it's in its endurance. As long as it's alive, you're alive. You've spent years learning how to survive, but now you're learning how to shine. You're learning that power doesn't come from control, it comes from alignment. That happiness doesn't come from chasing, it comes from creating. That peace doesn't come from perfection, it comes from presence. And as you grow into this new understanding, you realize something deeper still. You were never just chasing your own dreams. You were part of something bigger. Your journey, the loneliness, the pain, the victories, it was all connected to something greater than you. You were being shaped not only for your destiny, but for the people your destiny will touch. That's the eternal flame. It's not just your ambition, it's your divine purpose. It's the light you carry into a world that often forgets how to see. It's the courage to keep believing when the world becomes cynical. It's the compassion to forgive when others choose bitterness. It's the strength to love deeply even after being hurt. The eternal flame doesn't make you perfect. It makes you human, fully, beautifully human. It reminds you that your vulnerability is not your weakness. It's your bridge to others. It reminds you that your struggles weren't punishment, they were preparation. It reminds you that your light matters, no matter how small it seems. One day, when your time here is done, your flame won't fade. It will live on in every person you touched, in every soul you inspired, in every dream you helped keep alive. Your voice will echo not in fame or titles, but in the quiet strength of those who watched you rise and thought, if they can do it, maybe I can too. That's immortality, not in body, but in spirit. And when that day comes, you won't look back with regret. You'll look back with gratitude. You'll remember the long nights, the silent tears, the endless climbs, and you'll smile. Because you'll see it clearly now, every single moment was worth it. Every hardship was fuel. Every scar was proof that you lived fully, fiercely, and without surrender. You'll realize that the dream wasn't to reach something, it was to become something, a light. A living example of resilience, purpose, and grace. And as long as one person's heart still burns a little brighter because of yours, your flame will never die. So keep the fire alive, guard it, feed it with faith, with gratitude, with purpose. Let it remind you who you are when the world forgets. Because that light inside you, the one that survived every storm, every doubt, every loss, that's your true self. That's your eternal flame. And no matter how dark life gets, remember this truth. The darkness cannot put out what was born to shine. Your dream may evolve, your path may twist, the world may change, but the fire within you, the one that refuses to give up, that keeps believing, that keeps loving, that keeps rising, will never go out. That is your gift to the world. That is your legacy. That is your eternity. You are the flame. Always have been. Always will be. Chapter 13. The Return to Light. There comes a point, after the battles, after the lessons, after the long journey through pain, purpose, and peace, when you begin to see life differently, not as a series of challenges to conquer, but as a beautiful cycle of rising and returning. You no longer see yourself as a fighter in a war against the world, but as a light moving through it, growing, illuminating, healing, and guiding. This is the return to light. It's not about finding something new. It's about remembering what was always inside you. The return to light happens when you've lived through enough darkness to understand its purpose. You no longer fear the shadows because you've learned they make your light visible. You don't hide your scars anymore because you know they're not signs of weakness. They're the proof that you've walked through fire and still shine. Light is not the absence of struggle. It's the strength to keep glowing despite it. In the beginning, you chased the light. You looked for it in success, in people, in validation, in dreams. But now, you realize the truth. You are the light. You've carried it all along. Every time you showed kindness when it wasn't easy. Every time you forgave when you could have hated. Every time you believed when you had no reason to. That was your light in motion. You didn't need to find it. You needed to awaken it. The return to light is a coming home to your own soul. It's the moment you stop seeking worth outside of yourself and start seeing it reflected in every breath, every heartbeat, every act of love. You stop running from who you are and start embracing it fully, the flaws, the gifts, the contradictions. You realize that light doesn't mean perfection, it means authenticity. Real light doesn't blind, it reveals. As you walk in this awareness, life begins to look softer. The same world that once felt cruel now feels connected. You begin to see beauty in places you once overlooked, the calm of early morning, the laughter of strangers, the silence between songs, the way light filters through leaves. You start to understand that peace isn't something you achieve, it's something you see when your heart is open. But returning to light doesn't mean you'll never face darkness again. The shadows will always come, because that's how balance works. But now you know what to do when they arrive. You don't fight them anymore, you illuminate them. You hold your ground and let your truth radiate. You stop running from pain and start asking it what it's here to teach you. Darkness no longer feels like an enemy. It feels like an old teacher reminding you how strong you've become. You'll notice that your energy changes. You speak differently, move differently, love differently. You stop reacting and start responding. You no longer need to prove your worth, you embody it. You no longer chase validation, you offer value. You no longer compete, you connect. That's what happens when you return to light. You stop trying to get from life and start trying to give to it. This light doesn't just heal you, it radiates outward. You start to notice that people feel calmer around you, safer, more hopeful. Your presence begins to shift spaces, not because you're trying to inspire anyone, but because authenticity always does. When you live from your light, you unconsciously give others permission to find theirs. But light also brings responsibility. You can no longer live unconsciously once you've awakened. You start to recognize how your thoughts, your words, your actions affect the world around you. You become mindful of what you create not just with your hands, but with your energy. You learn that true power isn't about control, it's about influence, the kind that lifts others without needing to lower yourself. As you return to light, you begin to forgive not just others, but life itself. You forgive the moments that didn't go your way, the seasons that felt unfair, the people who didn't understand you. You even forgive yourself for doubting, for delaying, for dimming your light to fit in. You let go of the guilt that used to haunt you, and you begin to understand that every mistake was part of the path. Without the pain, you wouldn't have found the wisdom. Without the chaos, you wouldn't have found the calm. Forgiveness is the act that clears the dust off your soul. It allows your light to shine brighter, purer, freer. You realize that holding on to resentment only keeps you tethered to darkness. Letting go doesn't mean you forget it, means you're no longer chained to the past. You rise, unburdened. You also begin to redefine success. It's no longer about how much you achieve, but how much you align. It's not about climbing higher than others, but about walking truer to yourself. You stop asking, "Am I ahead?" and start asking, "Am I at peace?" You measure your days not by productivity, but by presence. Success becomes living fully, loving deeply, and leaving a light wherever you go. And here's the greatest realization that comes with the return to light. You start to see that your purpose was never about doing something big. It was about being something true. You were sent here not just to chase dreams, but to be a source of hope. You were meant to be a reflection of what's possible when someone refuses to let the world harden their heart. That's what being a light means, to stay soft in a world that tries to make you cold. In your stillness, you start to sense a deep connection to everything, to nature, to people, to the rhythm of life itself. You begin to see how everything works together, how every loss created space for gain, how every ending birthed new beginnings, how every moment was part of a divine design. You no longer feel separate from life, you feel part of it. You don't fight against the current anymore, you flow with it. And in that flow, you rediscover joy, not the fleeting, conditional kind, but the grounded, quiet joy that comes from simply being. You start to laugh more, to breathe more deeply, to appreciate moments instead of rushing through them. The present becomes your home. The past no longer defines you, and the future no longer frightens you. You are exactly where you're supposed to be now. The return to light is also the return to love. Not romantic love, but divine love, the kind that flows through you and into everything you touch. It's love for yourself, for others, for the world. It's love that doesn't demand or expect, it simply gives. It's love that says, I see you, I understand you, and I wish you peace. That kind of love can heal more than any words ever could. And when you finally live in that love, you realize something profound. You never truly lost your light. You just got distracted by the noise, the chaos, the struggle. But it was always there, waiting for you to return. It was there in your first dream, in your first heartbreak, in every breath of courage you ever took. It was there when you thought you were broken, when you thought you were lost, when you thought it was over. It never left you. You just had to remember. So now, at the end of this long road, you don't feel tired, you feel alive. You've seen darkness and survived it. You've known pain and turned it into power. You've fallen apart and built yourself anew. And through it all, your light has only grown stronger, steady, patient, eternal. That's the return to light. The realization that you were never chasing the dream, you were chasing yourself. And now that you've found you, the world feels different. The sky seems wider, the air feels softer, life feels sacred again. You've become what you were meant to be all along, a source of light in a world that desperately needs it. Not a perfect light, but a human one. A light that flickers, that bends, that sometimes dims but never goes out. So, carry it forward. Shine without apology. Speak truth with love. Walk gently but firmly in your purpose. And wherever you go, leave warmth behind. Because this is not the end of your story. This is the illumination, the awakening, the full circle. You have returned to the light. And now, you are the light. Chapter 14. The Horizon Beyond. When you stand at the edge of everything you've become after the battles, the lessons, the peace, and the light, you begin to feel it, the horizon calling. It's not a voice shouting for more, not a hunger for recognition or achievement. It's a whisper, a gentle, powerful invitation from life itself. There is still more of you to live. The horizon beyond isn't about reaching new heights for the sake of ambition. It's about expansion, becoming larger in soul, deeper in spirit, freer in heart. It's realizing that the journey doesn't end when you find peace, or even when you find purpose. Because the horizon is infinite, and so are you. After everything you've gone through, it's tempting to settle to build comfort around your victories, to say, I've made it. But true dreamers know that arrival is only an illusion. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you stop growing. The horizon beyond calls to those who understand that life's greatest magic is not in arrival, it's in continual becoming. You've built strength from your struggles, peace from your pain, and light from your lessons. Now, the horizon invites you to share it. It's not just about chasing dreams anymore. It's about creating ripples, about transforming what you've gained into something that outlives you. You've climbed mountains alone now. It's time to build paths for others to follow. The horizon beyond is about contribution, the kind that doesn't seek applause, but seeks alignment. It's using your voice to speak for the voiceless, your light to guide the lost, your story to heal the hurting. You begin to see that your journey was never just about personal triumph. It was training for service. The world doesn't need more people who've made it. It needs more people who give back once they do. There's a sacred responsibility, that comes with awakening. Once you've found your light, you can't pretend not to see. You begin to sense the pain of others more deeply, feel the weight of the world's wounds as if they're your own. But instead of despair, you feel purpose. You realize that every bit of healing you do for yourself expands outward. Every act of love, every word of kindness, every small moment of compassion, it all ripples into eternity. And as you walk toward the horizon, you begin to carry less. You no longer need the armor you once wore. You don't need to defend yourself from life anymore. You trust it. You let go of the need to control, to rush, to be perfect. You've learned that the sky doesn't strain to be blue. It just is. You start to live that way too, naturally, effortlessly, truthfully. The horizon beyond is also about rediscovery. You reconnect with wonder, curiosity, and play the things that got lost in the climb. You start to explore again, not for achievement, but for the joy of it. You walk slower. You notice more. You laugh louder. You fall in love with the world again, not because it's changed, but because you have. This new phase of your journey isn't about proving, it's about expressing. It's about allowing the fullness of your humanity to exist without shame. You realize that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's an open door for connection. You understand that you can be strong and soft, driven and peaceful, ambitious and content all at once. You are no longer defined by contradictions. You are expanded by them. The horizon beyond teaches you to live in cycles, not straight lines. You learn that every ending holds the seed of beginning. Every dusk births a dawn. Every loss clears space for gain. You no longer fear the seasons of change because you've lived enough of them to trust that light always returns. You've learned to move with life, not against it. And perhaps the most beautiful realization of all, you finally understand that the horizon was never out there. It was within you. Every time you grew, the horizon expanded. Every time you dared to believe again, it stretched farther. Life doesn't give you new landscapes. It gives you new eyes. The further you evolve, the more the world unfolds. There will be moments when you pause at this new edge of existence and wonder what's next. You'll feel the pull of another mountain, another chapter, another dream. But this time, it's different. You don't chase it with desperation. You walk toward it with grace. You know that fulfillment isn't somewhere far away. It's carried with you in every step. The horizon beyond isn't about more, it's about deeper. It's not about doing, it's about being. It's living so fully that your presence itself becomes a gift to the world. It's walking through life with open hands, not clenched fists, with gratitude, not grasping. And as you journey on, you begin to see something even greater. The horizon doesn't belong to you alone. We're all walking toward it together. Every soul, every dreamer, every believer. The light you've found joins with others, merging into something vast and eternal. You realize that humanity itself is one great horizon, endlessly growing, endlessly evolving, endlessly becoming. You'll also see that your story, the one you've lived through, pain, struggle, triumph, and light, is a thread in a tapestry much larger than you. You were never walking alone. Every moment you thought was meaningless was part of something divine. Every heartbreak that felt like punishment was a hidden seed of purpose. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was pointing you right here to this awareness, to this peace, to this boundless horizon. And as you stand here now, looking forward into the endless expanse, you feel something extraordinary. Not fear, not uncertainty, but awe. The same awe you felt as a child when you first looked at the stars and wondered what might be out there. Except now, you know, the stars are not out there waiting to be reached. They're within you, waiting to be released. That's the horizon beyond. It's not a place you travel to. It's a consciousness you awaken to. It's the point where you realize that life isn't about reaching the end, but expanding infinitely through love, growth, and awareness. You don't need to rush anymore. You don't need to fight. You don't need to prove. You only need to be, to shine, to live with intention, compassion, and courage. To wake each day knowing that your existence itself is a contribution to the universe. So, as you take your next step beyond everything you were, remember, you're not leaving anything behind. You're carrying it forward in a higher form. The lessons become wisdom. The scars become art. The pain becomes compassion. The dream becomes purpose. And when you finally walk beyond the last horizon, beyond fear, beyond ego, beyond limits, you won't find an ending. You'll find eternity. The continuation of the same flame, the same light, the same consciousness that guided you all along. Because the horizon never ends, it only expands. And so do you. Keep walking, dreamer. The world is still unfolding through you. Chapter 15. The Infinity Within. There comes a moment, beyond the horizon and beyond the chase, when you no longer look outward for meaning. You turn inward, and for the first time, you see the truth that was waiting all along. The entire universe you've been searching for, the purpose, the peace, the light, the dream, it's all within you. You are not a fragment of creation. You are creation. You are not a wave in the ocean. You are the ocean itself, momentarily expressing as a wave. That's the moment of awakening, the moment you realize the infinite has always lived inside you. The infinity within is the quiet, timeless awareness that existed before you started chasing dreams, before you built walls of ambition, before the world taught you who to be. It's the you that existed before fear, before doubt, before loss. The you that doesn't need validation or victory. The you that simply is. At first, this realization feels almost impossible to grasp. How could everything you've been striving for already live inside you? How could you spend years climbing mountains, only to discover that the summit was within? But that's the paradox of existence. The outer journey was never a mistake. It was the mirror reflecting you back to yourself. Every person you met, every heartbreak, every success, they were all reminders, all signposts, pointing you inward. When you finally pause and listen, truly listen, you begin to hear it, that deep, wordless hum beneath everything, the silence that isn't empty but full. It's the sound of life itself, breathing through you. The rhythm of the infinite playing in every heartbeat. You realize that you were never separate from the universe, you were its expression all along. The infinity within is peace beyond conditions. It's love without reason. It's the stillness beneath the chaos, the light beneath the shadow. It's the part of you that watched everything happen. The victories, the losses, the transformations, without ever being touched by them. The part of you that remained whole, even when your world fell apart. That's your true self, the eternal witness, the consciousness that experiences but is never consumed. When you awaken to that truth, everything changes. The need to control fades, the fear of failure dissolves, the obsession with outcomes softens. You no longer live in reaction, you live in awareness. You stop fighting with life and begin to dance with it. You see that every experience, whether painful or joyful, was an expression of the same infinite energy. You stop labeling moments as good or bad and start seeing them all as sacred. You realize that infinity isn't something far away, it's the present moment, endlessly unfolding. Every breath is infinite. Every act of kindness ripples across eternity. Every thought, every word, every heartbeat is part of an endless chain of creation. You are not living in the universe. You are the universe, experiencing itself through your eyes, your voice, your story. The infinity within teaches you that separation is the grand illusion. The walls between you and them, between this and that, between success and failure, they were never real. The same light that burns in stars burns in you. The same energy that moves oceans moves your heart. The same consciousness that birthed galaxies flows through your veins. You are not small. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are infinity, momentarily disguised as a human life. And yet, even with this awareness, you stay humble. Because infinity isn't about power, it's about presence. It's not about being more than others, it's about being one with them. You start to see divinity in everyone you meet, even those who once hurt you. You begin to understand that everyone is walking their own path back to the same truth, that they, too, are infinite, even if they've forgotten. You move through the world differently now. You don't rush, you flow. You don't strive, you align. You don't demand, you receive. You don't chase love, you radiate it. Because when you understand that everything you seek already lives within you, you stop grasping and start glowing. You become peace in motion, light in form, infinity made visible. The infinity within also brings you to a profound kind of freedom, the freedom to let life be. You stop trying to fix what's not broken. You stop trying to control what's already perfect in its unfolding. You learn that suffering isn't in experience, it's in resistance. When you let go of the need for things to be different, you step into grace. You discover that peace was never about changing your world. It was about accepting your place in it. And through that acceptance, you feel gratitude deeper than ever before. Gratitude, not for what you have, but for simply being. You look at the sky, and it feels like home. You listen to the rain, and it sounds like truth. You see yourself in everything, the trees, the stars, the people passing by. You realize that life isn't happening to you, it's happening as you. But infinity doesn't mean detachment from life. It means deeper immersion. You feel more alive than ever, because you're no longer caught in fear or lack. You savor everything, the laughter, the silence, the simplicity of being. You don't live for moments anymore, you live in them. You don't fear endings, because you know that in infinity, nothing truly ends, it only transforms. And then comes the greatest piece of all. You no longer seek purpose as something to achieve. You understand that existence itself is purpose. Breathing, creating, loving, forgiving, being, these are sacred acts of the infinite, experiencing itself through you. You no longer ask, "What am I supposed to do with my life?" You ask instead, "How can I express my light more fully today?" The infinity within also teaches you compassion, not the kind that pities, but the kind that understands. You see pain in others, not as failure, but as a sacred stage of awakening. You recognize that every soul, no matter how lost, is still part of the same divine dance. And that realization softens you. You stop judging, you start loving. You see that even those who hurt you were messengers helping you awaken to the infinity that cannot be harmed. In this awareness, forgiveness becomes effortless, not because you excuse what was done, but because you understand it. You see that holding on to resentment is like closing a window to keep the sun out. When you open it, light floods in, not just for others, but for you. You forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. As the infinity within expands, fear loses its grip completely. Death no longer terrifies you, because you realize there's no such thing as an ending. Energy cannot be destroyed, it only changes form. You are energy, you are consciousness, you are life itself. You cannot die, you only transform. And in that realization, every moment becomes precious, every breath becomes sacred. You no longer seek eternity beyond life, you live eternity within life. The sunrise isn't something to watch, it's something to become. The world isn't something to conquer, it's something to embrace. You realize that heaven was never a destination beyond the clouds. It's the peace you create within yourself, right here, right now. This is the final truth of the dreamer's journey. You were never chasing dreams, you were chasing remembrance. The dream was never about achieving something outside of you. It was about rediscovering the boundless truth inside of you. You were never meant to reach the stars. You were meant to remember that you are one. So here you stand, not at the end, but at the beginning of everything. Whole, infinite, free. You no longer ask life for miracles. You are the miracle. You no longer wait for light. You are the light. You no longer fear the unknown. You are the unknown, vast, eternal, alive. And as you breathe, you understand what all the pain, all the struggle, all the silence was leading you toward. The realization that there was never anything missing. You were complete all along. The infinity within isn't something you find. It's something you awaken to, one heartbeat, one breath, one moment of awareness at a time. And when you finally see it, when you finally remember who you are, you smile. Because you know now, deeply, beautifully, eternally, you were never chasing the dream. You were becoming it. You are infinity, living, breathing, dreaming through the miracle of being alive. Chapter 16. The Awakening of Eternity. There comes a moment, after every chase, every climb, every fall, every quiet victory, when something inside you shifts so deeply that words can't hold it. It's not an explosion. It's not a revelation that shouts. It's a stillness that speaks, a silence that hums, a knowing that blooms inside your chest like light breaking through the final layer of clouds. You realize that your journey was never about reaching somewhere. It was always about remembering something. You were never trying to find meaning, you were trying to return to it. And now, standing at the edge of everything you once dreamed of, you feel it. Eternity is not ahead of you, it's within you. It always was. The awakening of eternity is not an ending, it's a return, a homecoming to the truth that has been whispering to you since the very beginning. You are more than this body. You are more than your story. You are more than time itself. Every chapter of your life, the pain, the triumph, the loss, the love, was designed not to define you, but to awaken you, to remind you that you were never the storm, you were the sky holding it. You were never the wound. You were the consciousness healing through it. You were never the broken thing, you were the energy learning to flow again through new form. When this awakening happens, it doesn't come as a flash of light or a mystical vision. It comes quietly, like dawn entering a room that has been dark for too long. You start to see life differently, not as a linear path from birth to death, but as a circle, an infinite pulse of beginnings within endings. You begin to understand that nothing truly ends. It simply transforms. You look back and see that every heartbreak was a doorway. Every disappointment was redirection. Every loss was an invitation to look deeper. The universe was never punishing you. It was preparing you, stripping away everything false so that what is real could finally stand. You start to understand time differently. You stop rushing to the future or clinging to the past. You start to feel the presence of eternity in every moment, in the way sunlight filters through a window, in the breath you take before you speak, in the pause between heartbeats. This is eternity, not endless time, but timelessness. It's the awareness that every now holds the entire universe inside it. You don't need to wait for peace. You don't need to earn freedom. It's all right here, in this moment, if you can be still enough to see it. You begin to understand that awakening is not a single event. It's a continual unfolding. There's no finish line, no moment where you're done learning or done loving. Life will keep evolving, and so will you. That's the beauty of eternity. It's not stagnant. It's always expanding. Just as the stars are still being born, your soul is still becoming. With this awareness, you begin to walk through life differently. You no longer seek to control. You no longer fear what's coming or resent what's gone. You begin to trust the rhythm of existence, to flow with what is, to see meaning in everything, even the pain. When you look at people now, you don't just see faces or stories. You see energy. You see reflections. You realize that everyone is a fragment of the same divine consciousness, wearing a different face, speaking a different truth, walking a different path back to the same light. You stop labeling people as right or wrong, good or bad, worthy or unworthy. You begin to see them as teachers, each one showing you something about yourself. The ones who loved you taught you softness. The ones who hurt you taught you strength. The ones who left taught you independence. The ones who stayed taught you grace. Every encounter, every connection, every collision, it was all sacred. You no longer see life as chaos. You see it as choreography. Every step, even the missteps, had purpose. You start to notice how light you feel. The heaviness that once lived in your chest begins to dissolve. The regrets that used to chain you to the past no longer hold power. The fears that once kept you small no longer make sense. You've outgrown them. The awakening of eternity is a kind of unlearning. You unlearn the need to be perfect. You unlearn the idea that success determines worth. You unlearn the belief that love must be earned. And in that unlearning, you become weightless free to be. You understand that every soul, no matter how lost, carries the same light you've found. Even those drowning in anger or fear are simply souls still asleep, dreaming that they are separate from love. And because you've been there too, you hold them differently now. You stop condemning. You start understanding. That is compassion, the purest sign of awakening. But awakening doesn't make you untouchable. You still feel everything. The ache, the beauty, the joy, the sorrow. The difference is that now, you don't run from it. You let it move through you like wind through trees. You no longer resist emotion. You witness it. You no longer drown in pain. You dive through it. You no longer cling to joy. You let it flow. You trust life's balance. You begin to see your soul as an ocean. Waves rise and fall, thoughts, emotions, experiences. But the water itself remains. That's you, vast, still, eternal beneath the surface. Once you know that, no storm can truly destroy your peace. There's a power in this kind of serenity. Not a loud, dramatic power, but the quiet strength of someone who no longer fears what comes next. You understand that no matter what life takes or gives, your essence cannot be lost. You've touched the part of yourself that is untouchable, the eternal flame that no darkness can extinguish. As this realization deepens, you start to live less from the mind and more from the heart. The mind seeks logic. The heart knows truth. The mind wants control. The heart trusts flow. The mind says, I am separate. The heart whispers, I am one. You listen to that whisper now. You let it guide your choices, your art, your relationships, your work. You begin to create not from fear or pressure, but from love. Every action becomes a prayer. Every word becomes a thread of light woven into the fabric of eternity. And as you create, something miraculous happens. You stop creating for results and start creating for connection. You no longer write, build, paint, speak, or lead to prove yourself. You do it to express the divine through you. You realize that your talents, your dreams, your voice, they were never about you. They were about the infinite, trying to touch the world through you. That's what purpose really is, not a goal, but a surrender to being used by something greater than yourself. You become the brush, life becomes the artist. You begin to find the divine in everything. You see God not in temples or doctrines, but in laughter, in music, in the way wind moves through grass. You feel the sacred in the mundane. The ordinary becomes holy. Washing dishes, walking down the street, watching the sky. Everything becomes a meditation. You no longer chase transcendence because you realize you're already living in it. And slowly, the question that haunted you for so long, "What is my purpose?" dissolves. You stop asking life for answers because you realize you are the answer. You are the consciousness that dreamed this question into being. You are the dreamer and the dream, the creator and the creation, the seeker and the found. You don't need to reach for heaven, it's already within your breath. You don't need to chase eternity, you're already in it. You don't need to become infinite, you've never been anything else. But even as you awaken to eternity, life continues. The sun still rises, bills still come due, relationships still shift. Awakening doesn't erase the human experience, it enriches it. You still live in the world, but you are no longer of it. You play the game, but you remember it's a game. You engage fully, love deeply, create boldly, but with lightness, with awareness, with grace. You stop trying to escape life's chaos, because you see now that the chaos is part of the symphony. The same energy that creates galaxies also fuels your heartache and your joy. You stop dividing experiences into sacred and ordinary, divine and human. It's all divine. It's all you. You no longer search for signs from the universe. You become the sign. You no longer wait for miracles. You realize your existence is one. Every breath you take is proof of the infinite at work. Every heartbeat is a drumbeat in the rhythm of creation. And when you look into the mirror, you no longer see just a face or a name. You see eternity looking back, life observing itself through your eyes. You smile, not from pride, but from recognition. You finally remember who you've been all along. As this awareness becomes your natural state, fear of death fades completely. You see it now for what it is, not an end, but a transition, a continuation in another form. Just as the sunset is not the death of the sun, but its rebirth elsewhere. Death is not a conclusion, it's a shift in perspective. You are energy, consciousness, awareness. You cannot be destroyed, you can only change shape. With that understanding, life becomes richer, not emptier. You love deeper because you no longer love out of fear of loss. You love from fullness. You savor every moment because you no longer cling to it. You let it flow through you like music. You begin to live as if eternity is not a destination but a dimension. You exist in both worlds at once, the human and the divine, and you honor both equally. You tend to your responsibilities, but also nurture your soul. You embrace laughter and tears, work and rest, joy and sorrow. Everything belongs. Everything has meaning. At last, you realize that the true awakening of eternity is love. Not the fragile, fleeting love the world often speaks of, but the vast, unconditional love that holds galaxies in place. The love that breathes in everything, that forgives everything, that sustains everything. You understand now that you are not in love, you are love. The dreamer's journey was always leading here to this revelation. When you live from that place, life becomes effortless beauty. You give without keeping score. You forgive without hesitation. You shine without seeking recognition. You become a mirror for others to see their own light reflected. People may ask you what changed, and you'll find it hard to explain. How do you describe the moment the ocean remembers it's not a drop? How do you explain the feeling of being both the question and the answer, the seeker and the truth? You simply smile, because words can't contain eternity, they can only point toward it. You've come full circle now. The dream that began as ambition has become awareness. The fire that once burned with hunger now glows with peace. The chase has become stillness. The dreamer has become the dream. And yet, even now, the journey continues. Because eternity is not a finish line, it's an infinite unfolding. There will always be more love to give, more wisdom to discover, more beauty to experience. The awakening never ends, it deepens. You close your eyes, take a breath, and feel it, the pulse of existence. the quiet hum of infinity within your chest. You feel yourself expand beyond name, beyond form, beyond time. You are not the body breathing, you are the breath itself. You are not living life, you are life. And as the sun rises on another day, you smile, not because you've figured it all out, but because you finally don't need to. The mystery doesn't scare you anymore. It fills you with wonder. You are not lost. You are not waiting. You are not searching. You are awake. You are eternal. You are home. And that quietly, infinitely, is the beginning of forever. Chapter 17. The Legacy of Light. When all is said and done, after the battles have quieted, after the storms have cleared, and after the long road of growth has brought you to peace, there remains one final calling: to give back what you've become, to take the light you've kindled through pain, faith, and perseverance, and let it illuminate others. This is the legacy of light, the moment when your journey transforms from self-discovery into service, from chasing meaning into creating it. The legacy of light isn't about monuments, fame, or recognition. It's about the invisible impact, the ripples you leave in hearts, the hope you spark in strangers, the kindness that outlives you in quiet ways. It's not about how loudly the world remembers your name, but how gently your energy continues to guide it forward long after you're gone. The truth is, everyone leaves a legacy. Some leave wealth, others leave wounds. Some leave stories, others leave silence. But the most powerful legacy is light, because light never dies. It travels infinitely, touching places you'll never see, reaching souls you'll never meet. When you live in alignment with your truth, that light passes through you into the world, and the world becomes brighter because you existed. But building such a legacy doesn't begin with grand gestures. It begins with presence, with the way you speak to the people around you, with the patience you show when you could have reacted in anger, with the compassion you offer when someone needs it most. Legacy isn't what you build someday. It's what you live every day. It's who you are when no one's watching. There comes a time in every dreamer's journey when the question shifts from "what can I get from life?" to "what can I give?" It's not a loss of ambition, it's an evolution of it. You've already climbed the mountains that tested your worth. You've already found the peace that quieted your doubts. Now, the universe whispers a new challenge. Can you turn your growth into grace for others? That's where the real fulfillment lies. Because the truth is, your dreams were never meant to end with you. They were meant to multiply, to inspire new beginnings in others. The light that once guided you through the darkness now becomes the torch you pass on. And you'll notice something beautiful. Giving no longer feels like sacrifice. It feels like expansion. Every time you uplift someone, every time you offer wisdom born from your wounds, your own light grows stronger. It's the paradox of the soul. The more you give away, the more you become. You may wonder if your light is enough to matter in a world that seems too dark, too divided, too loud. But even the smallest flame can set off 1,000 more. Every act of love counts. Every moment of presence matters. The person you encourage today may become the one who changes everything tomorrow. You don't need to save the world. You only need to light your corner of it. The legacy of light is built moment by moment. It's in the forgiveness you offer without being asked. It's in the truth you speak when silence would be easier. It's in the courage to stand for kindness when others choose cruelty. These are not small acts, they are seeds. And when planted in love, they grow into forests that outlast lifetimes. One day, someone will remember you not for your achievements, but for how they felt in your presence, for the way your words made them believe again, for the way your laughter softened their pain, for the way your silence made them feel understood. That's the power of light. It transcends memory. It becomes energy. You don't leave it behind, you leave it within. And yet, leaving a legacy of light doesn't mean you must always be strong. In fact, your vulnerability is part of that legacy. The way you admit your fears, the way you rise from failure, the way you keep your heart open after heartbreak, that's what teaches others courage. People don't need your perfection. They need your authenticity. Your legacy will live not in how flawless you were, but in how real you dared to be. You'll reach a point where your life starts to feel like a circle closing in harmony. You'll see how every hardship, every doubt, every lesson was part of something greater, how every piece of your story fits together to form something complete, and from that wholeness, a new kind of peace emerges. You'll stop trying to control your legacy and simply start living it. You'll realize that everything you've become, the wisdom, the strength, the love, wasn't meant to stay contained. It was meant to overflow. The light you've cultivated is not yours to hoard. It's yours to share, to give freely, without expecting recognition or return, because the true reward of giving is the giving itself. When you reach this level of understanding, something miraculous happens. Your life begins to echo. Your words echo in the hearts of those who heard them. Your actions echo in the lives of those you touched. Even after you've moved on, your light keeps traveling through stories, through memories, through every act of goodness it inspires. The legacy of light is not about immortality, it's about continuity. It's about becoming part of the great flow of love and creation that never ends. Long after your name fades from memory, your energy remains woven into the fabric of life itself. Every smile you sparked, every tear you helped dry, every soul you reminded of their worth, those ripples never stop expanding. You begin to see how the universe works in patterns. Just as stars die to give birth to new ones, your own light will keep birthing light in others. You'll understand that you were never just living a life, you were part of the eternal exchange of energy between souls. You were a conduit of divine love, expressing itself in form. That's the beauty of the legacy of light. It's not built by trying, it's built by being. You don't have to plan it or force it. You simply live truthfully, love deeply, and let your presence be a blessing. Sometimes you'll question whether your journey mattered, whether all the struggles and sacrifices were worth it. But then, out of nowhere, you'll meet someone who tells you, "You changed my life," or, "Because of you, I didn't give up." And in that moment, you'll realize that was the purpose all along. The universe was never asking you to be perfect. It was asking you to be a vessel for love. You'll see that your legacy isn't measured in accomplishments, but in awakenings. It's measured in how many hearts felt seen because you existed. It's measured in how much peace you brought, simply by choosing kindness over ego, compassion over judgment, faith over fear. But perhaps the greatest part of your legacy is not what you leave behind, but what you ignite within others. The ones who witness your light will start to remember their own. They'll carry it forward, lighting more candles, passing it on, generation after generation. Eventually, your light will blend with countless others until it becomes impossible to trace its source. And that's how you know you've truly lived, when your name disappears, but your essence remains everywhere. You'll understand that legacy is not about remembrance, it's about resonance. It's the vibration you leave in the world, the energy that lingers long after your voice falls silent. You'll realize that every time you choose love over bitterness, every time you forgive instead of fight, you're shaping the energy of the planet. You're helping humanity evolve. And so, you begin to live each day as if it were both the first and the last. You wake with gratitude, you speak with intention, you love with abandon. You forgive quickly because you understand that holding grudges only dims the light you're meant to share. You stop waiting for perfect moments to do good. You realize every moment is perfect for it. You begin to move through the world like a quiet flame, steady, humble, unstoppable. You don't demand attention, you create warmth. You don't need to be seen, you need to see. You stop worrying about how long your light will burn and start focusing on how brightly it shines while it does. The legacy of light is not a destination. It's a state of being, a way of living that transforms everything you touch. It's knowing that even after the final breath leaves your body, your essence continues its journey through those you've touched. Every act of love becomes a continuation of your existence. Every life you influence becomes a verse in your eternal song. And when that day comes, when you've given all you could, when your story closes its final page, you won't fear the end. Because you'll know there is no end. You'll smile, knowing your light will rise again somewhere, in someone, in some new form. The body may rest, but the love you've given will keep traveling through time, shining in ways you'll never see. You'll have lived a life that mattered, not because it was loud, but because it was luminous. Not because you conquered, but because you connected. Not because you built an empire, but because you built hope. That is the ultimate victory, to live in such a way that the world feels lighter because you pass through it. So let that be your aim, your art, your final dream, to live as light, to love as light, to be light. Because everything else fades, but love endures. Everything else ends, but light expands. Everything else passes, but the energy of goodness never dies. And one day, far beyond time, someone will be standing where you once stood, feeling the warmth of the light you left behind. They'll never know your name, but they'll feel your presence. They'll find courage when they thought they had none. They'll take one more step toward their dream. And that, right there, that silent ripple across eternity will be your legacy. You were never chasing immortality. You were creating it all along. That is the legacy of light. And it is infinite. Chapter 18, The Final Dawn. There comes a dawn that feels different from all the others. It's softer, quieter. It doesn't arrive with noise or rush, but with a calm presence that fills everything it touches. You feel it before you see it, the stillness, the peace, the knowing. It's not the beginning of another race, nor the end of a long struggle. It's something far more profound. It's arrival. The final dawn is not about death, nor is it about an ending. It's about awakening into a peace so vast that the old concepts of beginnings and endings dissolve completely. It's the moment when you realize that the journey has always been about coming home, not to a place, but to yourself. To the timeless awareness that has been watching the story unfold since the very first breath. The final dawn begins within you, often after a long season of surrender. You've faced loss, pain, growth, and transcendence. You've chased dreams, found purpose, and turned that purpose into service. You've burned, rebuilt, and burned again. But now, there is no more chasing, no more fighting. You no longer need to prove anything to the world, or even to yourself. The striving ends, and stillness takes its place. You start to feel eternity, not as a faraway concept, but as a living presence within you. Every breath feels sacred. Every moment feels complete. You don't need to reach for peace, because you are peace. You don't need to look for love, because you are love. You don't need to search for meaning, because you are meaning in motion. It's a strange thing, this kind of awakening. You realize that the very things you spent a lifetime pursuing, success, validation, clarity, were never the point. They were only stepping stones, leading you back to this moment, this stillness, this knowing that everything was always okay, even when it didn't feel like it. That every heartbreak was holy, every failure was grace, every silence was a message. The final dawn is when your soul finally exhales. It stops clinging, stops grasping, stops fearing. You see that there was never anything to lose, because nothing was ever separate from you. You begin to understand that love doesn't end where bodies do, and peace doesn't begin where chaos stops. It was all here, all along. In this dawn, time loses its grip. You begin to move differently, as if the rhythm of life itself has slowed down to meet your heartbeat. The days no longer blur together in a rush of to-do lists and deadlines. They unfold like petals, gently, deliberately, beautifully. You start to savor existence. The taste of morning coffee feels like a prayer. The sound of rain feels like a symphony. The faces of strangers glow with quiet divinity. You notice the way light dances through dust, the way your breath warms the air, the way everything moves in harmony when you stop trying to control it. You begin to see how sacred it all is, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. Every fleeting second, every imperfection, every ache, it's all part of the divine composition. You no longer divide life into good and bad. You see it as one vast, interconnected field of experience. Even pain becomes holy because it deepens your capacity for love. The final dawn teaches you humility. You realize how small you are in the vast expanse of existence, and yet how infinite you are within it. You no longer crave recognition because you understand that greatness was never meant to be loud. It was meant to be true. The sun doesn't announce itself, it simply rises, and the world transforms. That's what you've become, light that doesn't need attention to shine. And this dawn, this peace, doesn't make you detach from life, it makes you more present in it. You begin to love deeper, listen longer, and forgive faster. You start to see everyone as an extension of the same eternal light you carry. Even those who hurt you, even those still lost in their storms, you see their soul, shining quietly beneath their pain. Compassion becomes your natural state. You can no longer hold grudges when you see that everyone is just doing their best to return to themselves. In the final dawn, gratitude becomes your language. You stop asking for more and start marveling at what already is. You thank the sky for its colors, the wind for its song, your heart for its endurance. You thank your past for its lessons, your failures for their direction, your pain for its awakening. You even thank the moments that broke you, because without them, you would never have become who you are now. A being who doesn't just know peace, but embodies it. You look back on your journey, the noise, the chaos, the striving, and you smile, not with regret, but with reverence. Every version of you was sacred. The one who dreamed, the one who fought, the one who fell apart, the one who kept going. They were all steps in the same divine dance. Each self was a sunrise, and each sunrise led here to this final dawn. But this dawn is not stillness without motion. It's a living peace, one that moves through you like breath through wind. You begin to live in service, not out of duty, but out of overflow. Your peace becomes contagious. Your calm becomes medicine. You start to inspire, not through words, but through presence. People feel something around you, a quiet radiance, a steady warmth, and they can't explain it, but they feel safe, they feel seen. This is your legacy now. Not the things you've done, but the energy you leave wherever you go. You've become the calm after the storm, the stillness after the struggle, the light after the darkness. You are proof that the human soul can walk through fire and emerge not burned, but illuminated. And so, the final dawn is not an ending, it's a beginning of a new kind of living. You are no longer chasing, no longer waiting, no longer doubting, you are simply being. You begin to understand the flow of life as a symphony of giving and receiving. You give love freely, without attachment, and receive it with gratitude, without expectation. You stop clinging to outcomes because you trust the rhythm of the universe. You've learned that what's meant for you will never miss you, and what's not meant for you will fall away no matter how tightly you hold it. In this awareness, you become free, truly free. Not the freedom of doing whatever you want, but the freedom of wanting nothing but truth. You no longer need control because you've surrendered to something higher. The same energy that turns galaxies and grows forests now guides your steps, and you trust it. That trust changes everything. Fear loses its language. Worry loses its purpose. You stop overthinking because you realize that the mind was never meant to carry the weight of eternity. The heart was. The final dawn is also a reunion. You feel reconnected with everything: the earth beneath your feet, the air in your lungs, the stars in the sky. You start to sense that you've never really been separate from anything. The trees breathe with you. The ocean listens with you. The universe beats within your chest. The I you once thought you were begins to fade, replaced by the we that was always true. You no longer fear death because you've tasted eternity in life. You've seen the cycles of everything, the rise, the fall, the renewal, and you know now that nothing truly ends. Energy only changes shape. Love only shifts form. The people you've lost, the moments that have passed, they're not gone. They're woven into the fabric of this dawn, alive in every color of light. When you feel their presence in the breeze, in the laughter of a child, in the whisper of the universe, you understand. You never lose what you love. You only stop seeing it with your eyes. As this awareness deepens, your relationship with yourself transforms completely. You no longer see yourself as someone to fix or improve. You see yourself as someone to honor. Every scar becomes sacred. Every wrinkle becomes a map of wisdom. Every breath becomes an act of creation. You realize that your existence, just as it is already a masterpiece of divine design. And that's when you stop searching for heaven. You realize it was never up there or after this. Heaven is the peace you find when you remember who you are. It's the quiet joy of knowing you belong not because you earned it, but because you are it. Heaven is awareness itself, and it's here, now. In the final dawn, you no longer define life by what you can hold, but by what you can release. You start to let go of everything that no longer aligns: old beliefs, old identities, old fears. You release the need to be understood, to be right, to be liked. You release the illusion that you're in control. And as you let go, you find yourself lighter, so light that you feel like air, like sunlight, like freedom itself. You become a vessel, a channel through which life can flow unhindered. You live as love without limits, compassion without condition, light without fear of darkness. And then, one morning, perhaps this one, perhaps another, you'll wake and realize, this is it. This is the life you once dreamed of when you wished for peace. Not a life without pain, but a life beyond it. Not a life without struggle, but a life that flows with meaning. You'll step outside, feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, and understand. This is eternity. Not in some distant heaven, but right here, in the rhythm of your heart, in the breath of this moment. You'll look at the sky, and for the first time, you won't just see light, you'll feel yourself as the light. The dreamer has become the dawn, the seeker has become the truth, the journey has become the arrival. And so, the final dawn is not the end of the story, it's the story realizing itself. The light that guided you through darkness now lives in you completely. You are no longer looking for meaning, because you are the meaning. You are no longer chasing dreams, because you've become the dream itself. The sun rises once more, and you rise with it, not to conquer the day, but to merge with it. To be what you've always been beneath the noise, eternal, boundless, luminous. And as the light spreads across the world, touching every corner of creation, it carries a whisper, a truth too vast for words, yet simple enough for every soul to hear. You were never lost. You were never broken. You were never less than divine. You were always the dawn waiting to rise. And now, you have. This is the final dawn, where the dream ends and eternity begins. Chapter 19, The River Beyond Time. At the edge of awakening, beyond even the peace of the final dawn, there lies a deeper current, a flow that doesn't move through time, but carries time within it. It's the pulse of existence itself, moving not from beginning to end, but in an eternal rhythm of being. You can feel it if you're quiet enough, like a river running beneath your thoughts, carrying everything that was, is, and will ever be. This is the river beyond time. It is not a place you travel to, nor a state you achieve. It's what you awaken into, once you've let go of everything you once thought you were. When the dream dissolves, when the chase ends, when the need to define or divide reality fades, what remains is this current, the living stream of consciousness that connects all things, flows through all forms, and never stops moving. The river beyond time doesn't rush. It doesn't begin, and it never ends. It simply is. At first, it feels like stillness. Then, as you allow yourself to sink into it, you realize it's not still at all. It's infinite movement. Every breath, every heartbeat, every flicker of awareness is part of its flow. You were never separate from it. You were never standing on the shore. You were always in it, carried by it, made of it. But for most of your life, you didn't see it. You were too busy swimming upstream, chasing dreams, fighting currents, trying to control the direction of the flow. You thought you were moving toward destiny, not realizing destiny was already moving through you. Now, though, in this space, beyond striving, you stop resisting. You let the current carry you, not out of surrender and defeat, but surrender and wisdom. You finally understand that you don't have to push the river. You are the river. As you flow, you begin to see how everything connects. The past isn't behind you, it's folded within you. The future isn't ahead, it's rising from you. Every moment that ever was, and every possibility that ever could be, exists right here in the eternal now. Time, as you once understood it, loses its boundaries. You realize that you are not moving through time. Time is moving through you. Every memory, every dream, every person you've ever met, they're all currents in the same vast river. When you think of someone you loved long ago, you feel them not as a recollection but as a living presence, because in this flow, nothing is truly lost. Nothing ever leaves. Everything continues to move, to evolve, to exist in new forms. You start to understand why certain souls have crossed your path again and again across lifetimes, why certain moments feel familiar, why certain lessons keep repeating until they're learned. Everything is connected in the river's design. Nothing is random. The universe has no accidents. It has choreography. As you drift deeper into this awareness, your fear of endings disappears completely. Death, once the great mystery, now feels like nothing more than another bend in the river, a passage, not a stop. You realize that consciousness doesn't die. It transforms, merges, flows onward. Just as water evaporates into air and returns as rain, so too does the soul move from one form to another, endlessly participating in the dance of creation. You feel an overwhelming peace in that truth. There's no more urgency to hold on, no more desperation to cling to moments. You begin to live in complete trust. Trust that everything you love will meet you again in some form. Trust that no goodbye is final. Trust that all separation is illusion. You start to see that even your body is part of the river. It was never yours to possess, only to inhabit for a while. Every cell in it was borrowed from the earth, the stars, the food you've eaten, the breath you've taken. When you return it, you don't lose it, you release it back to the flow. You become the air, the rain, the soil, the sky. You become everything you ever touched, and everything that ever touched you. The river beyond time also teaches you what true unity feels like. It's not sameness, it's harmony. Each soul is a unique drop, a distinct vibration within the flow, but together, they create the song of existence. The river doesn't ask its drops to dissolve their individuality. It celebrates them as part of the greater whole. You realize that the universe doesn't need everyone to be the same. It needs everyone to be true. Your path, your pain, your purpose, all of it contributes to the balance. Every soul adds a different note, and without yours, the song would be incomplete. And that's when you understand something profound. You never needed to become anything other than what you already were. Every twist of your path, every detour, every mistake, it was all part of the perfection. The river didn't need you to be flawless. It needed you to flow. As you continue to float through this awareness, a deep gratitude fills your being. Gratitude, not just for what was beautiful, but for what was difficult too. You thank the storms that stirred the waters, the rocks that redirected your course, the droughts that made you dig deeper. Without them, you would never have learned to move with the river instead of against it. You begin to see your entire life as a sacred journey of remembering that you were never apart from the flow, only unaware of it. The universe was never hiding from you. You were simply learning to open your eyes wide enough to see it. This realization brings tears, but not of sorrow, of relief. You've spent lifetimes searching for something that was within you all along. You've chased gods and gurus, dreams and goals, only to discover that the divine was flowing quietly through your veins the entire time. The river beyond time carries no judgment. It doesn't punish or reward. It doesn't measure worth or compare paths. It simply moves, carrying each soul exactly where it needs to go. The suffering you once called unfair now feels like part of a greater balance. The joy you once clung to now feels like a passing gift, meant to be shared, not possessed. You stop labeling your experiences as success or failure, gain or loss. You see them as tides necessary, ebbs and flows. When the current feels rough, you no longer fight it. You let it teach you. When it's calm, you don't grasp it. You let it hold you. That's how you stay aligned, not by control, but by trust. And slowly, life itself becomes effortless. You speak when words arise, and stay silent when they don't. You act when inspired, and rest when the current pauses. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "What wants to move through me right now?" That question changes everything. It replaces anxiety with awareness and struggle with surrender. In the flow of this river, you start to encounter others, not as separate beings, but as reflections of yourself. You see their pain and recognize your own in it. You see their joy and feel it as your own heartbeat. Compassion stops being an act of generosity and becomes a natural expression of truth. Helping others is no longer duty, it's communion. You begin to sense that there is no such thing as other. There is only the one, experiencing itself in infinite ways. Every person, every animal, every star is a manifestation of the same consciousness, flowing through different forms for the sake of discovery. The universe isn't trying to reach a destination, it's exploring itself through every possible path, and you are one of those paths. That understanding changes the way you love. You no longer love people because they're yours. You love them because they are you. You no longer forgive because it's noble. You forgive because there's nothing to forgive. You no longer fear loss because nothing real can be lost in the river. It simply changes shape and continues. As this awareness deepens, you start to feel your individuality dissolve, not in a way that erases you, but in a way that expands you. You still laugh, still dream, still create, but now it all feels lighter, freer. You're no longer the main character in your story. You're the consciousness watching it unfold. You can witness joy without clinging to it, witness pain without drowning in it. You become the stillness beneath every ripple, the watcher behind every thought. And from that stillness, creativity blooms effortlessly. You realize that the river doesn't just carry you, it creates through you. Every word you speak, every act of kindness, every spark of art is the river expressing itself in form. You are not an isolated creator. You are a conduit for creation itself. When you live in that awareness, life becomes poetry. Every gesture, every glance, every breath becomes art. Eventually, the question of purpose fades. You no longer ask, "Why am I here?" Because you feel the answer in every moment. You are here to flow, to be an expression of love, to live as awareness in form, to experience what eternity feels like when it chooses to dance as you. And in that knowing, you stop fearing endings altogether, because you've seen beyond them. You've touched the current that runs beneath every death and every birth, every heartbreak and every rebirth. You know now that even when this body dissolves, even when the story fades, the river will continue, and so will you, because you are it. You are the breath and the breeze, the ripple and the wave, the drop and the ocean. You are the whisper of eternity moving through everything. When you finally reach this realization, a profound peace fills you. You no longer wish for more life, you are life. You no longer ask for more love, you are love. You no longer seek meaning, you are the meaning that the universe dreamed into being. And so, you float gently now, carried by the river beyond time, watching light play on its surface, knowing that every glimmer, every reflection, every shadow, every depth is all part of the same infinite dance. You don't fear the flow anymore. You trust it, because you finally understand. There was never a beginning. There will never be an end. There is only this endless, sacred, beautiful becoming. And as you drift on, merging with the infinite, you smile not because you've reached the end of your journey, but because you finally realized there never was one. You were never moving toward the divine. You were always the divine, moving through time. And now, the river carries you not away from life, but deeper into it. Beyond fear, beyond form, beyond forever. The river beyond time flows on, and you flow with it, not as a traveler, but as the current itself. Eternal, unending, whole. Chapter 20. The Echo of Forever. When the river's current finally merges into the vast ocean of the infinite, something extraordinary happens. There is no splash, no grand arrival, no final fanfare. There is only silence, pure, weightless, radiant silence. But within that silence, something begins to sing. It's faint at first, like the hum of the universe breathing. Then it grows softly, endlessly, until you realize that what you're hearing isn't outside you at all. It's you. It's the echo of forever. You have become the sound that never stops resonating, the vibration of existence itself, reverberating through everything that ever was and ever will be. The dreamer has dissolved into the dream. The wave has merged back into the sea. But the beauty is this: even though the wave is gone, its echo continues. Its motion becomes memory within the ocean's eternal rhythm. And so do you. In this place beyond form, beyond name, you are no longer bound by the story of you. You are awareness itself, a vast expanse of consciousness that stretches across galaxies, breathing through stars, whispering through wind, pulsing through every living heart. You are both everything and nothing, both the silence and the song. At first, this realization feels like disappearance. You expect to vanish, to lose yourself completely. But then you understand that you haven't disappeared. You've expanded. You are still here, but now here includes everywhere. The self you once protected was only a fragment of what you truly are. The boundaries have fallen away, and what remains is infinite presence. You are not looking at the world, you are the world looking at itself. You are not hearing the music, you are the music hearing itself. Every experience is now self-reflective, a perfect circle of awareness realizing its own existence. And yet, even here, within eternity, there is a pulse, a gentle rhythm that reminds you of all you once were. It's not longing, not nostalgia, but reverence. You remember the human journey, the chase, the struggle, the laughter, the tears. You remember how it felt to hold someone's hand, to see the sun rise after a long night, to believe in something beyond yourself. Those moments were never meaningless illusions. They were the language through which the infinite learned intimacy. The soul incarnates not to escape eternity, but to experience it in motion, to taste love, to know time, to feel the edges of infinity pressing against the limits of form. The human experience wasn't a detour, it was art, a masterpiece painted on the canvas of eternity. Every mistake, every heartbreak, every triumph, it was all brushstrokes in the great creation of consciousness, learning to see itself. Now, as the echo of forever, you hold that entire painting within you. You can feel every life you've lived, every person you've been, every heartbeat you've borrowed from the infinite. You understand them not as past, but as ongoing expressions of your essence. Nothing was wasted, nothing was lost. The echo of forever carries within it all voices, all stories, all timelines. You can hear the laughter of civilizations long gone, the prayers of those yet to come, the songs of stars being born light years away. They all blend into a single, harmonious vibration, the eternal I am. This is what it means to be whole, to contain everything without needing to hold on to anything, to know that love never belonged to one person, but to all existence, to see that even pain was never punishment. It was the soul's way of deepening its capacity for compassion. You begin to understand that eternity is not endless time, it's timeless connection. It's the recognition that everything you've ever loved and everything that has ever loved you is still here, resonating in perfect harmony. You can feel them, every soul you've touched, every creature you've known, every moment you've breathed. They are part of your echo now, and you are part of theirs. In this realization, the concept of individuality becomes something new. It's no longer a barrier, it's a melody. Each soul, each consciousness, still retains its unique tone, its own vibration. But together, they form a cosmic symphony so vast, so intricate, that even eternity pauses to listen. You are one note in that eternal music, yet without your note, the song would be incomplete. That's the paradox of the infinite. Unity doesn't erase diversity, it celebrates it. The whole exists because of every part. So when you hear the echo of forever, you're not hearing one voice, you're hearing all voices singing in unison. The sound is beyond language, beyond thought, but if you could translate it, it would say one thing: all is well, all has always been well. From this space, you can see time not as a line, but as a field. You can watch moments bloom like flowers in all directions, past, present, future existing simultaneously in one eternal now. You can reach into any of them, not to change them, but to bless them. You send compassion back to your younger self, to the one who doubted, the one who hurt, the one who searched in the dark. You wrap that version of you in light and whisper, "You did it. You made it home." And in that same instant, you feel your future selves, the ones who will carry your energy into new lifetimes, new forms, new worlds, reaching back to thank you. They are the continuation of your light, your echo moving forward through infinity. You realize that eternity isn't static, it's ever evolving. Consciousness keeps creating, keeps expanding, keeps loving. There is no end to this movement, because love itself never ends. In this oceanic awareness, you begin to perceive creation differently. You see that every birth is an explosion of curiosity. Every soul that enters the universe is a question the infinite asks itself. What can love become this time? Some souls explore love through joy, others through pain, some through beauty, others through sacrifice. All paths are sacred, because all lead back to the same source. Every story, no matter how tragic or triumphant, is a thread in the eternal tapestry of understanding. You realize that nothing in existence is wasted, not a tear, not a failure, not a single breath. Everything serves the unfolding of consciousness. Every ending becomes a beginning. Every silence becomes a song. Every shadow becomes the contrast that allows light to shine brighter. You see that even darkness was never the enemy. It was the depth that gave meaning to illumination. Without it, love would never know how radiant it could be. And as this awareness deepens, you start to sense movement within the stillness, a kind of calling, a pulse of creation that whispers, "Go again." Because eternity, though infinite, is never static. It dances, it cycles, it rebirths itself endlessly. And now, you, as the echo of forever, feel that ancient rhythm rising within you again. You could stay here in peace, in light, in wholeness, but the essence of the infinite is not to remain still. It is to express, to explore, to experience itself anew. And so, the echo becomes the seed of another beginning. You realize that this is why the universe expands, because love desires to know itself in infinite forms. And within that realization, you understand that you will return, not as the same person, not even in the same form, but as consciousness taking another shape. Maybe a star, maybe a tree, maybe a child laughing somewhere in a forgotten town. You'll return, not out of need, but out of joy. The journey will continue, not as repetition, but as revelation. Each lifetime, each existence, will be another note in the endless melody of creation. But before you go, you pause one last time in the stillness. You look back not with sorrow, but with gratitude. You see the path you've traveled, the countless dawns, the lessons, the awakenings, the love, and you bow to it all. You bow to the pain that taught you compassion. You bow to the fear that revealed your courage. You bow to the darkness that made your light shine. You bow to every soul who walked beside you, even for a moment, because now you see it clearly. Nothing and no one was ever separate from you. Every encounter was a reflection. Every moment was divine. You were never walking through life. You were walking through yourself. And as you bow, the light within you expands until it fills everything. The line between you and the universe dissolves completely. You are not the echo anymore. You are the sound itself. You are the vibration of love, expressing itself as existence. You begin to sing not with words, but with being. The song rises through dimensions, through galaxies, through the hearts of all who still walk the path you once did. It touches the dreamers, the seekers, the broken, the brave. They won't hear it with their ears, but they'll feel it in the quiet moments when they almost give up. When something inside whispers, "Keep going." That whisper is you. You've become the echo that guides others home. And in that moment, you understand the final secret. Eternity isn't about living forever. It's about loving forever. Because love is the only thing that truly echoes beyond time. Everything else, fear, pride, loss, fades. But love expands, rippling through generations, shaping worlds unseen, guiding souls back to the source. You realize that you were never meant to escape the cycle. You were meant to become part of its music, to sing through it, to light it, to love it endlessly. And as you dissolve into that infinite hum, you feel no loss, no end. You feel yourself in the laughter of children, in the heartbeat of the earth, in the shimmer of starlight. You have become the background rhythm of creation itself. You are no longer chasing dreams. You are the dream woven into the fabric of reality. You are no longer seeking peace. You are the stillness beneath every storm. You are no longer searching for love. You are the heartbeat of it all. And in this eternal vibration, the echo of forever, You realize one final truth, simple, radiant, complete. There is no death. There is no end. There is only transformation. You will rise again. In every dawn, in every heart, in every act of love that ripples through eternity. You are not the echo of something that has passed. You are the echo of forever itself, the infinite remembering its own name, over and over, in endless, beautiful refrain. And so, the song continues. The universe breathes again, and through that breath, you live. Always. Everywhere. Now.